for the second straight week. Ford automobile. Beside him comes Alan Kowicki, and notice no sponsor on the side panel. He's really digging in for this afternoon and trying to have a great finish. Going to row number 2 today, and there you find Brett Bodine trying to come back from a disastrous week in Daytona. And following, Ricky Rudd, who's had some very good runs, won here back in 1984. In row number 3, it's Ken Schrader in one of the Hendrick Chevrolets, and alongside comes Harry Gant, who won in the Grand National race yesterday here. For row 4, it'll be Jeff Bodine ready to go. He's had a couple of second-place finishes in this event. The engines fire, they're ready to roll out. And Ernie Irvan, the new Daytona 500 champion. In row 5 today, there's Kyle Petty, who won his first race here in 1986. And Dick Trickle, carrying one of our onboard cameras, starts on the outside of row 5. Row 6 is Sterling Marlin, who had a great second-place finish at Daytona for Junior Johnson's team, and Derek Cope, car number 10, trying to put it back together here this afternoon. In row 7 is Dale Jarrett, driving for the Wood Brothers today. And alongside is Mark Martin in the Roush Ford. Going to row 8, and there you have, with new colors, Michael Waltrip. Had a great run yesterday for 4th, and Rick Mast. Watch this guy today. I think he's going to have a tremendous afternoon. In row 9 will be Darrell Waltrip, who has twice won this 400. Looked like he was going to win last week. Then Terry Labonte, back with Billy Hagan. He had some very fast laps yesterday in the last practice. In row number 10 is Dale Earnhardt, defending Winston Cup champion, former winner in this race. And alongside him comes Rusty Wallace, won here a couple of years back. Looking at the rest of the starting field, in row 11, it's Morgan Shepherd and Rick Wilson. Row 12, the 13-time winner here. That's Richard Petty and Bill Elliott alongside, trying to get his year going. Further back, row 13 from Alabama comes Mickey Gibbs, fellow Alabamian Hud Strickland in Bobby Allison's car. Row 14, Joe Ruttman, who had 3rd a week ago at Daytona, and Bobby Hillen, who's taking over for Sammy Swindell in the Moroso car today. Further back in the field, row 15 is Chad Little from up in the Northwest, and Pennsylvania's Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer. Row 16 is Jimmy Means and Bobby Hamilton, who won a Grand National race on this track a couple of years back. In row 17, an ASA star, Ted Musgrave, is there. And a twice winner of the event, Dave Marcus, on the outside of row 17. And the provisional starter on the field is Robbie Gordon in the Donlevy car that comes right out of this section of Virginia. 35 starters, engines warming up, taking some additional time on pit road before they turn them loose, and we may see some caution laps turned before they get green. Some additional caution laps to make sure this track is nice and tidy for a great battle. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Ken, of course, the 5 of us will call today's race, but there's a way the folks watching at home can participate and win. TBS presents the Right Guard Halfway Challenge. The driver leading this race at the halfway point wins $10,000 from Gillette Right Guard, and one of you watching at home will win a new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. Now, here's how to enter. Sometime between now and the halfway portion of this race, call the number on the screen, 1-900-420-2222. You must be 18 or over. Contest is void where prohibited. No purchase is necessary. Give them your name and the phone number you'll be at the halfway point of this race. We'll announce the driver that wins the $10,000. And then someone from Right Guard will randomly select one of you to call. And if you know the driver who earned the $10,000 Right Guard halfway bonus, you'll win the new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. So you can start dialing now. That's 1-900-420-2222. Each call costs 95 cents. But dial in and register, and your phone may be ringing after the halfway point. We'll be back for the start of the Pontiac Excitement 400 here at the Richmond International Raceway as the cars are on the pace lap, and we're getting set to go racing after this.
Taking 5 laps before they're going to turn them loose today, and you're riding the Pontiac of Dick Trickle here at Richmond live. Let's see if we can get a word with Dick Trickle from that 10th position. Dick Trickle, Ken Squire here at TBS. How's that track look out there now?
It's looking real good. I think they're just warming our motors up. When it's so cold, they want to let it get its oil pressure up and our oil temperature up.
Is there any part of that track that hasn't dried out?
That track looks real good.
Dick, the thing, the tires put a little bit of heat. This is Neil Bonnet. It seems like you have to get a little heat in the tires before they'll go.
Let me try to get him again here. Dick, you're getting some more heat in those tires. Neil Bonnet questioning.
A little bit of heat in the tires, trying to get our brakes worked in a little bit and get the engine warmed up on a cold day. So it looks like we'll have a good start going here.
What's your strategy for this race, Dick Trickle?
Not bad.
What's your strategy for this race?
Well, we can't be announcing that because Doug's got a plan.
Okay. Good luck to you. Have a great run.
I know what strategy is in racing. You go in that direction, right through that windshield to the front just as fast as you can.
But a lot of people are making other considerations. Like we know the Wood brothers are saying, we've picked out some specific laps. Win, lose, or draw, that's when we're coming in. We're not going to be drawn in by the leader coming in. In fact, Michael Walter told me an interesting story. He said, you know, that business about whenever the leader comes in pits, he said he called his pit one time and said, when should I pit? They said, whenever the leader pits. And he waited a second. He said, wait a minute, I'm the leader.
That's when it falls on your shoulder. These guys, this new pit deal has really got everybody scrambling. The strategy enters into it. Again, what happens, these guys might have to make a long run on a set of tires. They might put fuel sometimes and no tires. So you can't abuse them. When you abuse them and burn some rubber off, you can't put it back on there. They're going to have to go into this race thinking that they might have to have those same tires on that car for a long time, and that's when you have to baby them along.
Well, here you say the field pulling back down as the laps are counted down as we prepare for a start. Let's get a word in from Phil Parsons.
Yeah, we're down here in the pits. Just looking at pit road, it's a little bit damp, so when the guys do start making pit stops, they're going to have to be a little bit careful because, you know, they come in, there's no tread on these tires. They come in with these slicks, so they'll start sliding, so they have to be a little bit careful.
Phil, I guess all we got to worry about today, I think everybody's afraid to come on pit road. They're not sure when they're supposed to be there. Maybe it'll be dry at out time. These guys get ready to get in there and get some service.
You're exactly right, Neil. As a matter of fact, I just overheard that Davey Allison was telling his crew he's not sure when he's supposed to pit. So they're really uncomfortable with the new rules. So you may see guys waiting, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 laps after the caution flag before they come in.
Don't you fellas feel that we're not going to see many cars use that caution period to fuel today? That they'll give that up?
Ken, I think what's going to happen, I think the guys will run a run, and then, you know, they got 1 or 2 laps they can come in after the caution. I think it's going to be a driver call. I think he'll restart the race. If he feels like he's got good tires under him and the car's working good, he might call, hey, let's run a little bit longer. A lot of these calls, I think, will be made from behind that steering wheel. Hey, my tires are gone. I got to come in no matter what the cost. So the driver's going to have to make a few decisions on the track there, even though the strategy will be done with those little blackboards and computers in pit road.
Light is off on the pace car. We're coming down for a start. Davey Allison bringing the field down for the 2nd straight week of the 1991 season. Alan Kowicki, who, as Phil Parsons mentioned, has never qualified worse than 5th for this race, takes the number 7 alongside. He really has some magic for setting the car up here on this 3/4-mile track and earlier on the old half-mile.
Again, he was running away with this race earlier, the first race last year, and had a car wrecked in front of him, cost him the race. If he's ever needed to win one, it's right now with nothing on the side of that car.
Stand by. Here we go. Live on TBS, the Pontiac Excitement 400s under green.
This start's going to be interesting, Ken, to see if they are cautious and take a little bit easy. Usually, well, when we say that there, they go 3 abreast, so the cautiousness didn't last a long time.
And remember that turn 2 is the Achilles heel of driver after driver on this racetrack. It's pretty easy to get in trouble down there. As they come around to complete lap number 1, Allison in front, Kowicki in 2nd, Brett Woodine in 3rd, maintaining 4th is Rudd, and driving down onto the bottom of the racetrack goes the number 4 car as Irvin tried to move under. Harry Ganton found no room. Back with Alan Kowicki riding in 2nd spot. Try to close in on Davey Allison. Coming around to complete lap number 2, and as they come to the line, Gant maintains 5th. In 6 is Irvin, down to the inside Schrader. And then it's 3 wide, a little further back as Sterling Marlin dives onto the bottom of the track. And here comes Earnhardt making a hole. Car number 3 picking up some room out there, bringing with him Morgan Shepherd.
Dale mentioned earlier when we talked to him, his car might be a little pushy to start with. It really shoved the nose out in the middle of that corner. A lot of these guys are setting up the car hoping for later in the race on older tires. We'll have to see what happens.
Knock 3 laps off your card. And watch here. As down on the inside, Jeff Bodine runs wheel to wheel with number 66, Dick Trickle, in the Cale Yarborough car. Here's Dick Trickle up on the outside. Kyle Petty just in front of him. Kyle Petty in 9th. Trickle staying in 10th. Martin trying to move in. and get beneath Trickle, and there you see him make that move in car number 6. Mark Martin is really coming up. He's picked 5 cars off in those first 3 laps. Davey Allison stays on the point by 2 car lengths over Kowicki, who begins to get a handful here of young Brett Bodine, who had that terrible crash out of turn 4 at Daytona back in the 125-mile qualifiers.
Mark Martin has always ran well at this racetrack, and he seems to be making a good move.
Here is the number 6, Martin, running in 11th position. Mark Martin picking up from the start, drawing through the field quickly as he hustles to get up with those leaders. 6 laps thus far, all green for the 35 starters. $500,000 at stake. Over $20 million in the Winston Cup campaign treasury this year, and Davey Allison, who made such a valiant run, and then he and Earnhardt in that skirmish at the end of the race. A lot of people asking if this would be a payback week between those two. Look at Earnhardt in the number 3, diving down behind Rick Mast in the number 1 car as they continue to skedaddle out of the back of the field.
Again, we're seeing just the opposite of a Daytona that we had last week. Stay in line draft. The draft means absolutely nothing at this racetrack. What means something is getting that piece of metal in front of the other guy. You can run side by side. It doesn't hurt the way you get around the racetrack. And as we're saying,
Rick Mast in trouble, brings out the first caution of the day at lap number 8. The Richard Jackson, car number 1, wheels around and takes the wall at turn 4 lightly.
Looked like Earnhardt and Mast got together right in the middle of that corner. We were right on the shot when it happened, and they tangled, and it's going to cost Mast. He's nailed up against the wall. Even if the car's not hurt, he just went down a lap. They're racing back.
Racing back to the line. Allison there first, followed by Kowicki, and then Bodine, followed by Ricky Rudd. You were watching Earnhardt on the move. He had come from 19th to 16th in those first 8 laps. They're working lap number 10 right now as Rick Mast in car number 1 tries to get it back together here.
Here they go right on the bottom. It looked like Dale got him right on the left rear wheel, sent him sailing. Earnhardt had the left wheels a little below the yellow line. Mast was right down there with him. They just got tangled up coming off the corner.
So Mast goes a lap down. He was my pick to win this thing. He knows how to run a short track. He's going 2 lap downs now. We'll be back to Richmond in a moment.
Welcome back to Richmond International Speedway. We're working right now in lap number 14. We just had our first caution. Rick Mast get hooked up with Dale Earnhardt low in turn number 3, turn number 4, as you see right here. They're right down on the bottom groove, and you're going to see him squeezing down on Dale Earnhardt, gets the right front, sends him turning. That was our first caution, and so right now we're working on lap 14. Ken?
Earnhardt escapes the bullet once again, Neil. We're back under green. Rick Mast is still on pit road trying to recover from that incident in car number 1. And Black Magic, number 3, has cast just that over Rick Mast. Here is Earnhardt on the outside of number 94. This the battle for 14th position. Earnhardt there. Here he comes to the inside on Dale Jarrett in the 21. Moving up on the 13th place car, Dale Jarrett, the Wood Brothers Ford. Meanwhile, up in front, here's Allison and Kowicki with an interval of about 4 car lengths, 3 car lengths between them.
Ken, it looked like Kowicki really wanted to try to take the lead on that restart. He needs to be up front. He wants all the recognition he can sponsorship-wise, but Davey wants to lead this race also. But Kowicki seems to be on the restarts able to close that gap up. You're going to see if he can make a move on Davey as the tires get hot.
And right there is where he seems to make his best move, is out of turn number 2. That number 7 seems to light up out of 2 better than the 28 car.
It's the hardest place, not almost the hardest, but the hardest place to get a bite up off the corner. If your car will make that run up off 2, it's going to be good all day long, and Kowicki can make a gain on him right there.
Davey Allison staying out in front. Davey, what's your plan to deal with the new pit road procedure?
That's a tough question. You know, I've been trying to answer that question a lot this week, and the only answer I have is that until we do it 3 or 4 races, I don't think we know what the good points and the bad points are yet, and where we can make improvements and where we can't, and, you know, as far as changes. But one thing I do know is that Bill France said that if it wasn't working out right, he would make some changes. So after Daytona was over, it worked in some people's favor and it worked against some other people. And it made things interesting, but it kind of made things confusing at the same time. So we've got things to learn.
Learning something about Alan Kowicki right here is out of number 2. He dives down to the bottom again, and you see him pull just a little. Now on the outside, Davey Allison trying to come back, but Kowicki's going into the lead. Alan Kowicki, the privateer, native of Wisconsin, takes the lead. Here comes Davey Allison, a little wrap there. And from Alan Kowicki's view, clear track sailing into turn number 1. Davey Allison back on the inside. Great battle for the lead. As they started, there they are. Pole and outside of the front row, wheeling and dealing and slamming a little here in the early going with 21 laps complete.
21 laps in the race, and you think it was 1 to go, but that's what this Winston Cup racing's all about. These guys run from the time they drop that green flag. And we hear strategy on saving tires, doing this. If you turn those drivers loose, they're going to play and they're going to have fun. That's just what these guys are doing right now.
Kowicki not conserving a bit. He is trying to put on as great a show as he can, hoping to entice someone to the sponsorship of this team.
Davey's car is just a tick loose. You can see the rear wiggling around. We saw some of that at Daytona. That was aerodynamics, but this is strictly handling right here.
Down to the inside comes number 26. That's Brett Bodine trying to move in, and blocking is car number 7. Kowicki shutting the door. Ricky Rudd moves up in 4th spot. Looks like that'd be a great place in that car 7 to advertise Bonnet's Catfish Farm.
I don't know if we can afford it or not. Boy, I tell you, Brett Bodine, if anybody needs to run good here, after the Daytona, they had Kenny Bernstein team, lost 2 cars down there, and here they are right in the thick of the battle now.
Front 4 all clustered together. Allison, Kowicki, Bodine, and Rudd in the back straightaway. Coming up this time to complete 25 laps. Just behind them in the 6th spot is Ernie Irvin, just a little further back, and he's just losing that spot now. Here comes Harry Gant up a spot. He's into 5th. Irvin in 6th. Marlin is 7th on the field. 8th is Kyle Petty. 9th is Mark Martin. And the 10th is car number 3, Earnhardt. Front 4 in a bundle.
That's Ricky Rudd right there in 4th place. Waddell Wilson's cars have always run good at this super speed. This speedway here. He's always had super speedway motors, but they've really got the car handling. Here comes the sun popping out. We'll have to see what it does to the racetrack.
Ford running 1 and 2. Buick is 3. Chevrolet is 4. And Harry Gant leading the top 5 a little further back with his Oldsmobile. Down to the inside. Here is Bodine, Brett Bodine in the Kenny Bernstein car, number 26, making his move and not being able to pull him out of turn 4.
Again, we've talked about it a good bit about the abuse of tires. There was Davey and Kowicki battling around, swapping the lead. These 2 cars were a good bit back. All of a sudden, they've closed that gap. It looks like they're sitting on better stuff than the 2 leaders right now. Brett Bodine is able to close that gap very quick right in the center of the corner.
Brett Bodine, who had about 2.5 seconds to look at a 150-mile-an-hour crash at Daytona head-on onto the inside wall. And he said, all you can do is think about it and say, this is going to hurt.
It's bad when you can see it coming. Sometimes an accident happens so quick before you know it, but when you have time to think about it, they seem to hurt worse.
Top 4. Here they all clustered coming out of that turn, and here comes again Bodine trying that inside line in the green car in 3rd spot. Ricky Rudd, the number 5, out there in 4th.
Putting a lot of heat on these guys. Ricky's wanting a little sniff of that lead again.
Here he comes. Shoots down to the inside and tries to find the hole up in turn 4. And again, Davey Allison goes to the outside, keeps the RPMs up, and holds the spot. Now in turn 2. This is where Kowicki would seem to have the advantage, but this time out of there, Davey Allison stays right with him.
Again, one of these guys are going, if he makes it by, fine. If he doesn't, the 26 car can very well get around him because they're certainly heating stuff up right now.
Alan Kowicki fighting for the lead, almost 3 wide here. Down across the line, completing 31 laps. Kowicki on the bottom of the racetrack. This is the track on which he ran his first Winston Cup race. Here comes to the inside the green number 26 Bodine. Can't get through.
We got into some of what we were talking about. The 7 car really got loose. He's really abusing the car to get there, and the 26 almost got under it.
And the 5 car makes the move on the outside. That's Ricky Rudd for 3rd spot with that Chevrolet. Great battle up in front. There's some other snarls around the racetrack, but this is too good to miss. Davey Allison stays in front. Kowicki right there driving that number 7 as if there is no tomorrow. Well, could be the situation. Here he is down to the inside, finding a little hole. coming right off the end of that wall. Here he is peering to the inside of number 1. And again, they're even for the lead. Kowicki and Allison wheel to wheel in 2. Allison pulls her out of turn number 2 on the outside. 34-year-old Alan Kowicki in a tremendous early race fight.
Tangled a little bit right there, Dom, coming off the corner.
While this fight continues up in front, note that Harry Gant is closed up in the 33, the 5th place car. He's getting into it. There's your front 4. And here comes Allison back in front by a car length. Here comes Ricky Rudd in the Chevrolet trying to move through and move around Kowicki for second.
Well, one of the things the Winston Cup competitors have to do besides setting up the car is be awfully good weathermen. And a lot of these teams figured it was going to stay cold here this afternoon. The sun has come out. The temperature is rising. That could be a problem for some. Look at the front grills of these cars. Many of these competitors have taped off the grills, restricting airflow to the radiator. Kowicki is one of them. His crew says the car is fine right now, but if the temperature keeps rising, there could be some problems. They're going to need to get rid of that tape.
Dick, you're right there. It's going to do 2 things. It's going to let some air in there and cool the car down. But these cars seem to have loose characteristics. The minute you open the grill, it tightens the car back up. It's like a parachute effect. As soon as they open those grills, it'll be twofold. They'll cool them down and tighten them up, and they should be in better shape.
Rambling along on the inside comes car number 5, Ricky Rudd. He seems to be able to find the hole. He's got that car running well, Neil. And here comes Harry Gant, the 3rd place car now, back to the inside number 26. And look that Ernie Irvin is closed up. It's about a half second over the front 6 cars in this race with 37 laps complete, all under green, and back for the lead again comes Kowicki.
This is a 400 lapper, and I'm not sure these guys are going like it's a 20-lap heat race, but it sure is good racing early. You know, at Daytona, we had cars, we said you can't run side by side, you lose ground. That's because of the air. This right here, side by side, you can't pick the preferred line, entering and exiting corner, and you're abusing the tires. The lead guys mixed it up, and it seemed like the whole pack has come to them now.
Kyle Petty, you saw him closing up along with Mark Martin. Kyle is running in 7th in number 42, and Mark Martin is in the number 6 car. He's gathering some steam here too, right behind Kyle Petty. Here are the leaders. Davey Allison staying first, and again car number 7 closes up. Alan Kowicki came from 23rd to 8th in Winston Cup points in the second half of the season as he really charged, and that's what he's doing right now to retake the lead in turn 2. This time he has a little bit of an advantage as he goes down the back straightaway over Davey Allison in the 28. Coming around a lap car, that's Gordon in the 90 down to the bottom, the Donlevy car.
I'll tell you, Kowicki was very patient there. He'd make a run at Davey. If he couldn't get it, he'd get back behind him, kind of cool things down, get the tires back under him, get the car ready to go, and then make another sprint at him. No different me climbing these steps to this booth. It takes me a few steps to get here. He cooled that car down, he made the run, and he's got by him now, and he could pull away a little bit.
Well, there you see the front 5. Allison, Kowicki, Rudd, Gant, Bodine. A little further back is Ernie Irvin in 6, and Mark Martin in the number 6 car has now taken over in 7th. There you see him, Mark Martin pulling up on Ernie Irvin. Remember, Irvin is in that 6th position with car 4, and Martin on the inside drives her down home.
I think Mark Martin and Jack Roush have a lot to prove here. They won a race here last year, and after the race they were fined for infraction on the intake manifold. I think they want to show them they win races no matter what's going on. Here's a spin off of 2 over here.
That's Spencer in the 98. Jimmy Spencer back underway in the Travis Carter car, and there's no caution. No caution. 43 laps complete.
Thank goodness for no caution. I don't know if we can figure out what we're supposed to do.
Well, the longer they go under this condition, the more we may see that first caution being a player. If they pitted in the first 30 or 40 laps, I don't think anyone would have come in. Now look at the interval there. There is the number 7, Kowicki, out in front. And in the shuffle, you now see Ricky Rudd, number 5, in 2nd spot. Let's look at that spin again for Spencer.
We're looking all the way down the back straightaway. Coming up off 2 over there. He's already turned the car around right at the tight place. Richard Petty just barely got by him. But that real tight place off that corner, if you're a little bit loose, the thing will turn around before you know it.
Look at this. Number 33, Harry Gant challenging Davey Allison for 3rd. Gant has it. And Brett Bodine stays there. And Allison backs up. The man who sat on the pole now finds himself in 5th as the green car, number 26. Brett Bodine finds himself a little hole at Buick, and he pulls up, and here's Mark Martin in number 6. What a run Mark Martin is making at the present time.
I tell you, Davey sure fought for first position a lot harder than these other ones. The lead is real critical. If you're going to give up 1 or 2 spots, it's not that bad. He might be going to sit there and burn some laps down now, but he's certainly giving up a little bit with the tires and everything, but don't count him out. That thing can come right back to you.
Mark Martin from 14th position up into 5th position now with 47 of the 400 laps complete. Great run for Mark, who won this race a year ago under a cloud. Now here's the leader, Alan Kowicki, number 7, and number 5, Ricky Rudd, closing in. Working toward the 50-lap mark, and there's the interval back to 3rd spot to Harry Gant in the back straightaway on this 3/4-mile oval. $500,000 at stake. There you see, right behind Gant in the 33, Brett Bodine in 4th.
We saw a pretty good interval that can want to be interesting, because when Kowicki and them get together, we'll lose some of that.
In that 5th spot is Mark Martin, and there's Davey Allison, number 28, in 6. Ernie Irvin is in 7th in car number 4. Allison slipping back. Maybe we can find out why from Phil Parsons.
Down here in the Davey Allison pit, I'm talking to Joey Knuckles. Joey, Davey seems to be backing up a little bit. Does he have a problem?
No, we're in pretty good shape right now. We wanted to get up there and just see what we could do, because it's rain. Jake made some changes on the car this morning for the weather. He's complaining a little bit of the car being a little loose on the throttle, but nothing that we can't adjust for. We're real happy right now with the Texans having 4th and 1st.
Thank you, Joey.
Well, there's a terrific scrap right there as Ernie Irvin stays on the inside and gets that 7th. There's your leaders. Closing in again is Ricky Rudd. Ford in 1st, Chevrolet in 2nd. 52 laps now down, and here's Earnhardt to the inside in car number 3. Earnhardt making his run up on the inside of Kyle Petty for 8th. And with him comes car number 11, Junior Johnson's Ford, Jeff Bodine at the keyboard. Battle in lap number 53. Kyle Petty high in the Felix Savetta's car, and it is Earnhardt in number 3 making the moves now up into the 8th position. And remember, at the outset he was gridded 19th.
He certainly made a good move through there. We've got a lot of the good cars were back there in a pack in 18th and 19th and 20th position. They're working their way back up there now, and it's going to be, once they get to the front, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do, how much they use their car to get there.
You're watching Rusty Wallace in car number 2, the new Penske colors, down on the inside. He's in 11th spot, trying to take 10th away from Kyle Petty. Meanwhile, in front, Rudd thrusts the Chevrolet into the lead for the first time at 54 laps. Rudd takes over. Kowicki drops to 2nd. Gant stays 3rd. Here comes Kowicki right back on him another time. Kowicki seems on a mission out here today. Not willing to give ground to anyone, but in this case having to give up a little room to Ricky Rudd, the 1984 winner here at Richmond. And remember that year he had that terrible crash 14 times over down at Daytona in the Busch Clash. He came here with his eyes taped up and won this race. One of the greatest comeback stories in stock car racing, created by the man who is leading here today, Ricky Rudd out of Chesapeake, Virginia.
Ken Rudd has really impressed me in the early going by making economical use of his race car. He hasn't got down to the bottom and run anybody hard, so his tires were relatively fresh when he kept working his way up the outside to challenge Alan Kowicki. He really takes good care of that car's resources. It's one of the things that makes him the best road racer on the NASCAR circuit, and it's helped put him in front right now.
I mentioned he had his eyes taped. He had his eyelids taped up. He'd had so much swelling from that terrible crash, and he came out here and won just 8 or 9 days after that serious incident. Now you see him in the back straightaway, car number 5, out in front by 2 car lengths. Closing down once again is Kowicki in this great battle for the lead in the Pontiac Excitement 400. 58 laps complete this time by as Rudd and Kowicki go at it.
Ricky Rudd continues to lead Alan Kulwicki at Richmond International Raceway right now. You'll need to know who's leading at the halfway point. That driver gets $10,000, and you could win a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. Call this 900 number now to register. Each call costs 95 cents. You'll give your name and a phone number. You can be reached right after the halfway mark. If you know the name of the driver who wins the Right Guard Halfway Challenge at $10,000, you'll win the new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. So call now. Let's go back upstairs to Ken Squire and Neil Bonnet.
Couple of big moves out here. Here's Kulwicki back up in front of Ricky Rudd one more time. Alan Kulwicki, who is set on the pole 14 times, won 2 Winston Cup races, and as Harold Pearson pointed out in the Richmond paper today, the imponderable is time after time he does it with no sponsorship. Here's Gant in the number 33, the green and white car, down on the inside of Rudd, and he's going to second spot. Gant was so smooth and so strong yesterday in winning the 200, the Grand National race. It was a wonderful battle out here yesterday, and it was all 51-year-old Harry Gant when it was over.
Ken, that car almost looked to me as though it had a rev limiter on it. Then the front straightaway, when he made that move under Ricky Rudd, a little flutter out of the tailpipe, which usually means the rev limiter is going off. He might be really abusing that motor. And oh, Harry, I just tell you, he's just cruising along.
Take a look at Richard Petty and Kyle Petty here. Richard Petty running back in 19th position. Kyle Petty in the number 42 car. He is, let's see where his position is overall on the field. Is he falling back? Yeah, he's back. He's falling back off the pace for some reason. 43 and the 42, back towards the tail end of the top 20. Battle for the lead there as closing up again. You see Kulwicki in the lead. Car number 7. And here's a battle for the 7th position. Car number 2 going on the inside is Rusty Wallace. Sticks the Pontiac down under the Chevrolet number 4 of Ernie Irvin.
Boy, Rusty's had some good days at this racetrack before, and he'd certainly like to get that Roger Penske car right in the middle of it.
3-way battle here. Meanwhile, up in front, that fight for there's Hut Strickland getting back into it. Look at this battle as 33 for a moment looked like he had running room on the inside, then found the lap car of Jimmy Spencer. Alan Kulwicki staying just barely in front, and we have 3 dandy scraps all going on. The battle for the point. Here's Kulwicki in front. Harry Gant in second. Cold day, held up just a bit at the start because of rain, and here comes Gant back to the inside another time to challenge for the lead.
And this is a very competitive race. We've had 7 lead changes at 70 laps. These guys are really swapping it around.
Back comes Gant on the bottom. Harry Gant's got some room. About to get a new leader in this race. Harry Gant in car number 33, bottom side, turn 2. Cranks her down hard, pinches it out of that corner. Kulwicki stays right with it. I'm amazed at the gameness and the ability of that car to take that much punishment and run for the lead. We've seen some others backing up pretty dramatically in the last 10 or 15 laps.
We see them swap the lead back and forth, but usually when they fall out, they drop way back. Kulwicki has been there consistently since this thing started, and he's doing it the hard way right now on the outside of it.
Well, here you see Harry Gant in the Leo Jackson car, running even down the back straightaway with Alan Kulwicki.
Ken, this is what racing is supposed to be. If you go to Daytona, you run side by side, it's almost a penalty. You come here, it's fun. These guys can run side by side around this racetrack, and they're really putting on the show.
Hard to say where to go when you've got a race this great. I mean, there's a couple of other good scrambles, but who wants to give this one up? Here is Harry Gant, one of the most popular drivers in Winston Cup racing, and Alan Kulwicki in just a great fracas out of that 3rd turn area. Back down, Ricky Rudd comes right with them. Gant looking for his 12th Winston Cup victory. Stays on the bottom. About to lap Dave Marcus, twice a winner of this race, and that car number 71 just barely in front.
Pretty deep going in over here. Marcus backed out and let him in there.
Record number of lead changes is 19. That's happened on 3 occasions in this event. We've already had 9 lead changes. Look at Rudd find a hole.
Ken, that's what we've been talking about. 2 of them side by side are really abusing their car and the tires. And Rudd will have the strongest piece right here when this thing is settled. He's got the ability probably to jump around both of these again.
The Rick Wilson car, Harry Hyde prepared machine of the Stavola brothers, number 8, going to lap down as the onslaught continues up in front between this triumvirate of now Kowicki back into the lead, Gant for second, Rudd for third.
Ken, we've been talking about Kowicki all day long. We got Dick Berger in his pit. Let's get in there and see what's going on.
Well, I'm going to ask Paul Andrews what is going on. How long can you keep up this pace?
Well, it's going to be a little hard to say right now. We're just going to have to go and see how everything goes. It'll be anywhere from 90 or we can go as far as 110 on gas. We're just going to have to see how the tires do.
What would you like to do to this car to make it faster? Will you adjust it in any way when you do pit, Paul?
It's a little loose right now, so we'll go ahead and tighten it up a little bit.
Well, it's a little loose. They cannot fix that with stagger because these are radials, but they can take some wedge out of the car. They can also beat on the spoiler a little bit. Kowicki, as good as he's running, is not perfect.
Dick Berggren, I don't know what we're going to do when he gets it perfect. These other guys are going to have the handfuls keeping up with him, I tell you that.
Put him on the haulers. We now have completed 79 laps, all under green. Could go for a course record in this event right now. Race record is 95 miles an hour. That was in the September race. That's the overall record for 400 laps. Davey Allison set that back in '88, and they're scorching this place right now. Front three, Kowicki, Gant, and Rudd.
Well, Rudd's cars work good from the start, and you almost think somebody's got a little bit of patience, and here comes Gant jumping out here, and Kowicki, I doubt seriously is going to give that spot up. He's had to fight a lot of people for it, and he's going to try his best to stay there.
Here he comes again. Won 3 short track races in Winston Cup racing, but of course he's won hundreds of short track races. Harry Gant came through and won that Grand National Affair yesterday. I talked to Mike Waltrip this morning. I said, what'd you have for breakfast? He said, Harry Gant. They kid each other. Gant, in winning yesterday, Michael said to him, he said, you know, I think the only reason those newspapers talk about you as 51-year-old Harry Gant is because they don't think you're ever going to win again. And Harry said, no, that's just to give you younger fellas something more to shoot at.
A lot of those younger fellas need to be in as good a shape as 51-year-old Harry Gant. That man is, from the waist up, he's a fighter. He's ready to go, and he loves to fight in that little green race car right there with that 33 on the side of it.
Now a grandfather, and has as much fun with that and running a little restaurant up there where he lives in North Carolina as he does hauling these race cars. But this is his first love, and here he is with Kowicki down on the inside. It's Oldsmobile against Ford, wheel to wheel as they come around to complete lap 84. And this battle for the lead has not quit since the outset.
No, and I wouldn't doubt to see this 5-car try 3 abreast. He's sitting there waiting on one of them to go, and you get kind of antsy, and he's liable to see how wide this racetrack is.
He's tried it twice. Rudd looks to the outside now. Gant holding Kowicki on the high rail. Behind this trio, and here's Rudd cleanly into second place now. Mark Martin lies in 4th. Brett Bodine is 5th. Earnhardt is up to 6th, and Hut Strickland is in 7th. And what a run from 26th position Hut Strickland has made in car 12.
Ken, on a move like that with the Daytona, that would have been some help drafting. But what that was, that simply closed the hole. Whenever Gant had been trying Kowicki lap after lap, if he couldn't do it, he could fall back in behind him. That time, he got up there, Rudd closed the hole, and when he couldn't make it by, he had to go back another position. So Rudd took advantage of the fact that Gant couldn't get by and had to drop back and cool everything off.
Yet to have a caution flag coming up on 87 laps. Leaders only 5 seconds from very thick traffic just in front of them as they put a lap on Bobby Hamilton. Kowicki looking for that 3rd Winston Cup win, that first one, that dramatic win in Phoenix, Arizona, where then he took a lap backwards around the track so nobody would ever forget his first win.
Those folks at home rising the corporate ladder and watching might wonder what it would take to put their logo on Kowicki's car for the season. It takes at least $1.5 million in sponsorship to run a front-running Winston Cup team. That's why Kowicki's quarter panel is bare. Last year sponsored Xerox antifreeze is out of the sport, gave him plenty of notice, but he hasn't been able to replace them. That's roughly the price ticket, would you say, guys?
And that's why the catfish farmer up here from Alabama is not too excited about sponsoring the race car.
You think I could trade him a few fish for that place on the side of there?
The catfish special. Here's Kowicki in car number 7, about to put a lap on Dick Trickle in number 16 as he is just tearing this field apart.
Boy, it is unique to see in our sport a car leading a race with nothing on the side of it, but there's certainly something inside of it. They've got the motor running, and Kowicki is going to be a bulldog to pass all day long, because he's got a lot to prove today.
Boy, that's the word. He is a bulldog. Built a little like a fire plug, kind of diminutive in size. Now you're inside Dick Trickle 66 as he's about to go a lap down to this pair running up in front. Dick Trickle and Cale Yarborough's car running back in 24th position, showing us these pictures from the Trop Arctic Pontiac. And here comes Harry Gant into 3rd spot, just beneath Trickle. Trickle giving him a little room.
There goes the freight train, but it's a Hamlin freight train this week.
91 laps are down, still all green. Checking with our statistician Greg Fielding on the pace of this race, and first car in is car number 42. Kyle Petty is on pit road. You see the number 11 car coming by.
Ken, it's almost, that's the way it should be. Gary Nelson is noted for his strategy of running pits and winning races. And the first guy on pit road, Kyle Petty. Gary Nelson is one of the guys who usually leads in what to do. Here they are, they're taking bite out of, they're putting bite in, they're backing off on the right rear jack screw, which puts bite in the car. The car had a loose tendency. They corrected some of that just then with a right rear jack screw.
Kyle Petty, is tire wear a concern for you here at Richmond?
Tires will be a big issue here, and it'll be the guy who can conserve his tires and have the most layup at the end of the run on a set of tires that's going to do good here. You know, I look for Elliott to do good, for Waltrip to do good. Those guys are real easy on tires. They don't tear up tires a lot. You get guys who thrash a car like Earnhardt and that guys, they can wear out a set of tires in 15 or 20 laps. So, you know, and then there's a few in between, but it's going to be the guy who saves his tires the most that's going to come out on top here Sunday.
Davey Allison is just pitting his car. Davey Allison pulling onto pit road. He had been running in 12th. Haviland car in.
If you notice the side of those used to be white walls. They're kind of black. Somebody's erased the writing off the side of them. But they're not making a chassis change on Davey's car here. You know, the car seems, they said they had a little loose tendency, but they're just putting 4 tires on, and you cannot adjust the chassis with tires only. The stagger doesn't enter into it with the radials, as Dick Berggren brought out earlier. So that car must be the way they want it. They're not doing any chassis adjustment.
96 laps complete, and the number 11 car, Bodine, is the 3rd of the major cars to come in, and also in is the car number 20 with Bobby Hillen, the Moroso black and white numeral car. Now you see Bodine on pit road. Something to ponder. 96 laps are complete. We're about a quarter of the distance. The record for this track, 95 miles an hour, 95.7. Current pace, 112 miles an hour. Change in the lead.
Welcome back to Richmond International Speedway. We're working at about the 102, 103rd lap. I'm down here in the catbird seat. You know, in the interest of safety, NASCAR would like to limit the number of cars on pit row under extreme traffic situations. The way they've done that is they've added a member to their family. That member is a new flagman. Sitting right up here on top of Dick Trickle's trailer is a flagman. Each car is assigned a color, orange or blue. When the race dictates massive traffic on pit road, that flagman right up there will wave an orange or a blue flag, and the appropriate cars can enter the pits at that time. Another way that NASCAR is trying to help keep the sport safe. Tell us.
Everyone is taking this opportunity under green to pit. We've seen Gant in, we've seen Martin in, Marlin, we've seen Petty, we've seen Rudd. And just a moment ago, you saw Alan Kowicki on pit road. The one who has not come in yet is Earnhardt. Let me correct one thing that we said earlier. There has been one caution. That was early in the going, just a couple of laps under caution. There has been one, and even with that one caution, we're still considerably faster than any race that's been run here before.
Ken, I'm not so sure these drivers and crews wouldn't be just as content for there not to be a lot of cautions and have to run the race under green conditions and eliminate that guesswork. Here comes Earnhardt cranking down pit road right now.
Earnhardt had appropriated the first place with all of those pit stops. Now he's in. Dick Berggren is there.
Well,
Kirk Shelberdine's going to do the right front on Earnhardt's car. Tire specialist Will Lynn is going to do the right rear. Danny Chocolate Myers up with a gas can. Like everybody else, this is going to be a 4-tire stop. David Smith on the track, get ready now to pick up the left side. The trick here is to get all 4 tires and not get down 2 laps. He's just going down 1 now. Earnhardt is on his way out, down 1 in just a little bit.
Dick Bergeron, that's right, and that's the first time I saw Richard Childers in action in a long time. He jumped over that wall. He put about 3 rounds in the right rear, which meant that car is loose. They're trying to tighten Earnhardt up also.
Ken Schrader has just pitted, and here comes the man that had been leading. He always runs them long on that fuel tank, Darrell Waltrip. This would put Dale Jarrett in the Wood Brothers car up on the point.
If the people
and he's on pit road.
Will really pay attention to this. You can see right in the rear window of the car. We got a shot from the front right now. When they come around, there's 2 holes in the back windows on each side of the car, and they stick a wrench in there and adjust the car. Waltrip evidently does not need a chassis change. It's just 4 tires for him.
This business of the odd pitted cars and the even pitted cars doesn't look like it's going to be a player at all here today. Everybody's coming to their own strategy, and it's between laps 90 and 110 that we see all the key players coming in under green.
The scramble is going to be when we have a long run on green and then the caution. Is it justifiable to come in? Right now, they don't have a choice. They've got to make them on the green, and these guys are hustling in and out.
Joe Ruttman, who finished 3rd at Daytona a week ago, is just pitting. As you see, Waltrip back on the track. And the lead for the moment, as we have it, is car number 5. Ricky Rudd now goes back into 1st after all those leaders have had a shot at pit road. That would move Harry Gant to 2nd, Mark Martin to 3rd as we sugar this whole pit stop off under green. Darrell Waltrip gets back in sync with the rest of the field. What did you learn about the new pit stop procedure last weekend at Daytona, Darrell?
I think the thing that we've learned is the teams that gave it a lot of thought before the race going in are the teams that came out the best as far as the procedure is concerned. When to stop, what to do when you stop, keeping up with everybody else. I believe the teams that always are the teams that do the best job in the pits continue to be the teams that do the best job in the pits. We also learned that some guys can't drive on used tires. That's a given. Everybody knows that. There are drivers that worn used tires suit better than there are others. So we didn't learn anything. We just reaffirmed a lot of things that we already knew.
Everyone else learned a bit from Darrell Waltrip last week. They planned their pit stops at Daytona with complete disregard for when the caution flag fell, and that's what we've just seen. Most of these top teams will stop every 100 laps, and I'm a little concerned about Davey Allison and Bodine, who stopped before the 100-lap point. It may mean they have to make an extra pit stop later on in the race, but since you can only get gas on the caution, you can't get tires, and you're going to need tires every 100 laps. Don't expect to see pit road a busy place when that yellow flag is out.
Darrell Waltrip's number 17, running in the 10th position. Just behind him is Wallace. There's your leader. That's number 5, Ricky Rudd, putting a lap down on Richard Petty. Harry Gant is running 2nd, Mark Martin 3rd, Alan Kawicki 4th, Earnhardt is 5th. And it is Brett Bodine in 6th, Davey Allison 7th, Hutch Strickland is 8th after starting 26. Here's Bill Elliott's number 9, and he is running in the 9th position.
Worse than that, Ken, 9th place is not the concern. Watch a little puff of smoke right here when he gets out of the throttle. He's got a trail of smoke coming out of that car. He's been doing it the last few laps. He might have a tire rubbing. Hopefully that's what it is. They can correct that. If it's something internally, they're going to have problems this early in the race.
He just lost a spot. You saw it right there.
See the
Shooting
smoke
the
roll?
gap was Darrell Waltrip to pick up that 9th position and set car number 9, Bill Elliott, back to 10th.
The only thing it might be is that right here, right now, when it rolls over real bad, there's a panic bar, a rear sway bar, that shoves the rear end over a little bit. He might be rubbing that tire. Hopefully that's what it is, because that's correctable. If it's internally, he's got a long way to go yet.
The Rick Mast car, which was out in that early going, that incident up in turn number 4 with Dale Earnhardt that had us down for a couple of laps. They continue to work on Mast car just back behind pit road, try to get him back in this thing. Ricky Rudd, the 84 winner here, maintains 1st place. Harry Gant is in 2nd. Gant will have some running to do to catch this guy. He's about 25 car lengths back as they come out of turn 4 from the leader, Ricky Rudd.
Ken, maybe we can get one of our guys, Bill Parsons, somebody to run down there in Elliott's crew. I know it's early, but we got a little bit of smoke. Maybe I'm kind of concerned myself, wondering what that is.
Jimmy Means about to go a lap down to Ricky Rudd. Jimmy having a pretty good run today. Takes him on the inside. Right with him comes Ken Schrader in car number 25. Ken not being shown out here at the he's being shown in 16th, 17th position on Schrader. So the team cars are together, the Hendrick cars, 5 and 25.
It's showing the 25 car as being down a lap, so he really needs to get back around where if they do have a caution, he can get back in contention.
I'm impressed with how well Rick Hendrick has organized this team for this year. Jimmy Johnson and that whole crowd putting such focus on these cars and the interplay between the two drivers. They're both working in each other's cars. They're both working in the experimental car as well, doing a lot of testing. One may know a little here. Ricky Rudd is certainly an expert on. We've got a battle for third developing. Let's take a quick look at this. 6 is there. That is Mark Martin and Alan Kowicki with him. 75 car. We're showing there's a lap down in that hunt. Alan Kowicki staying right in there. This is Alan moving around for third spot on Mark Martin in the Roush Ford.
Kowicki lost a good bit of ground on that pit stop, and now he's having to make it up on the green, and that's a tough way to do it, but it looks like his car is capable of doing that.
And look who's coming up. The Shark is back in the tank. Here comes Earnhardt. Closing in one more time. The Intimidator in black number 3. Earnhardt to the inside. And beneath Martin. That's for fourth. And closing on Kowicki comes Earnhardt. 9-time winner in 1990 when he won his 4th championship.
Dale's cars always seem to have a tendency to be one of the cars that really ran good on new tires. When you run a pace, you'll run pace, you put some new tires on, it really takes off. And he just got a fresh set, and he's plenty strong right now.
He's your hunting buddy. You saw Earnhardt last week at Daytona, last laps in that number 3. Looked like he was just pushing that car to the very edge, and it fell over.
Ken, you know, when you run that hard, you're talking about the Daytona 500, and there's harsh words where you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. Hey, they was fixing to stick the checkered flag out there, and you're supposed to hold those things wide open, run as hard as you can. Him and Davey, they lost the car, got into Davey, which he felt bad about getting into Davey, and Davey was concerned about it. But, boy, when you're racing that hard, it's hard to say, well, I'm just going to lift, and I'll get Daytona next year. They're trying for the win.
Neil, Phil Parsons is down there now, and Bill Elliott's pit trying to follow up your story. Let's join him.
Yeah, Neil, I checked with Dan and Ernie Elliott, crew chief for Bill Elliott, and he said that Bill has not mentioned anything about any smoke. So as far as they're concerned, nothing's wrong.
Well, we can sure see it from here, Neil.
Well, Ken, that's one thing that concerns me. Sometimes we can see some things over here that you can't see from the pits. And with it being a trailing deal back there on the rear, Bill probably doesn't know there's a problem there. Maybe it's just something rubbing and a minor rub, because certainly don't want to rub the sidewalls out of one of these tires.
Bobby Hillen's car not in the top 20. Gets taken inside, outside here. Rick Wilson up on the outside of him. And it's Earnhardt busting through around Kowicki. So Earnhardt now has himself third position. Let's see if he can close up on Ricky Rudd and Harry Gant after we pause for these messages with 128 laps complete in our live coverage.
133 laps complete at Richmond. Ricky Rudd leading Harry Gant. Now Dale Earnhardt up into third ahead of Alan Kowicki and Mark Martin. We're closing in on the halfway point here at Richmond in the Pontiac Excitement 400. Once again, here's the number for you to call in and register for the Right Guard Halfway Challenge. Each call to the 900 number costs 95 cents. You must be 18 or over. Contest void where prohibited. No purchase required. The leader at the halfway point gets $10,000, and if you know who he is and Right Guard calls you, you'll win the keys to a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. So call now to register and stay tuned.
It's a pretty good deal, Neil. Get yourself a car.
Yeah,
you know who's going to lead at halfway?
Call in and see what I can do on this thing.
Well, Ricky Rudd is leading at this point. Rudd out in front in the Waddell Wilson car, going for his 12th Winston Cup victory. A man who's tasted victory before here at Richmond. Ricky Rudd out of Chesapeake looking for. We were speaking a few moments ago about how much cooperation there now is in that Hendrick team as it's focused on just these two drivers, Schrader and Rudd. There's Bill Elliott's number 9. You talk to either of these people about shock absorbers, and you get a lesson or two out of Ricky Rudd. He really understands what makes these cars go around.
they got the black flag out on Bill Elliott. Now that little bit of smoke that we saw looks like they're going to take another look at it.
Phil Parsons.
Yes, Kid Squire.
We see the number 9 car. The black flag is out for him. We saw him just drop back a couple of spots, and he's coming to you now. He's on pit road. Bill Elliott hoping to turn things around, and there's trouble there. Let's go to Phil and see if we can find out what's happening.
Look at Dan Elliott and the crew changing the right side tires. Not sure exactly what it was. I just talked to Ernie Elliott just moments before he came in. He said Bill hadn't said a thing, but obviously NASCAR saw something and black flagged him. So they just changed the right side tires and sent him on out. I don't know what, maybe they just looked at something. Ernie Elliott's holding his hands up with the NASCAR officials saying what was wrong.
Phil, this is Neil up here. You know yourself, a lot of times that rear end will get real hot, and it might just be a wisp of smoke out of the rear end, but there's definitely smoke, and it's enough that NASCAR can see it.
Yeah, 10-4, Neil, and I'll tell you, I looked at the back of the car. The telltale sign in the back of the car was, in fact, a little bit greasy, like it did have a rear end leakage. So I'm sure that's what it was, but NASCAR may deem that it's not bad enough to hold them in the pits, make some fix the thing.
He only pitted 33 laps ago. Elliott back out there, still smoking, and Rudd trying to get around him. And now Ricky settles in behind him with that lead, and a fair advantage over Harry Gant. I say fair, about, 20-25 car lengths separating first and second place. Rudd back to Gant.
Again, the problem you have when you have one smoking like that, if anybody's notifying, it's that guy sitting behind him, and there'll be guys will be hollering. Here's a battle for second. Earnhardt making a move on the inside of Gant.
So Earnhardt, who did not qualify well, picks up another spot as he closes in, trying to win his first Winston Cup race of 1991. Earnhardt trails by 6 1/10 seconds. He closes down on Gant and goes after Ricky Rudd. Earnhardt looking as quick as anyone out there. Started to say Bill Elliott, you see here, he was only in 33 laps before this stop when the black flag was out for him. There's the interval on car number 5. Your leader, Ricky Rudd, back to car number 3. Earnhardt coming about this at lap 144.
Got a big lead on him right now. It's going to take a while to whittle some of that away.
You see Morgan Shepherd just in front of him, running in 16th position. The red-white numeral Bud Moore car on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks to me like we have, 13, 14 cars still in that lead lap? Call it 13. Back to Schrader. Car number 4, Ernie Irvan, is not in the lead lap. He has fallen back to 17th spot, and with more on it, here's Dick Berggren.
Yeah, the problem with the number 4 car is an ignition problem. Apparently, the battery is not charging properly. They've got another battery ready to go in the pit area. These ignition systems are very battery sensitive. The battery's not right up, it skips. That's what they've got. Kulwicki's got a problem, too. They don't think he got a full tank of gas, and they are very worried that he can go to the 200 lap point.
Dick Berggren, that battery doesn't sound like a big problem to a lot of people, but that battery is located in front of the left rear tire. They've got a lot of material to take off to change it. And on the 7 car, it looks like they might have overcompensated. He was real loose. He looks pushy now, so you might ask those guys if they made a chassis change and think they overdid it.
As you look at that 7 car, Neil, running in 4th position, remember the 6 car is just behind him in 5th, Mark Martin. There's the story, and there's Dale Jarrett's number 21 running in 18th, a lap down from the leaders. We've had 15 lead changes among 6 drivers. Remember the record for lead changes, 19 on 3 previous occasions. Looks like that one might get broken today. Lap 148 complete, this time by on Ricky Rudd. Second place man Earnhardt, 3rd Gant. In the 4th position, Kulwicki. 5th, Martin. 6th is Bodine. 7th is Waltrip. 8th is Wallace. 9th is Allison. And there is your 10th place man, Hut Strickland. And right with him comes 11th place, number 42, Kyle Petty, in that lead lap. There's the fight for 10th place between the number 12 and the number 42. Bill Elliott's 9 running a lap down.
Boy, that's a shame to have Bill's car run as good as it is with that little bit of smoke. And it's something that looks bad, and evidently it's not very much problem.
But what a run Hut Strickland has had from 26th spot in the number 12 car. The Rebestos car, the team of Bobby Allison, A happy crowd out here on a day that is marginal. Gray, rainy when we began, held us up temporarily. But once the green flag stopped, it's only been taken back and put in the rack for 2 laps. And it's giving us record speeds. Elliott looks like he may have some of the problem remedied. And look at Strickland going to work on number 28, Davey Allison, for 9th. Strickland, a cousin-in-law of Davey Allison. All part of that Alabama gang.
And that's a cousin-in-law?
Yeah.
I was just wondering what that was. They're real good friends, but you can't hardly tell it right here. He's going right on by his cousin-in-law.
There he is down in the first turn, and look at this scramble, 7 and 33. For 3rd, Harry Gant being challenged again by Alan Kowicki in the number 7. If anyone is showing heart and determination out here on this Sunday afternoon in our live coverage from Richmond, it is this man, Alan Kowicki, in car number 7, qualified outside of the front row, went nip and tuck with Davey Allison for the lead in the early going, took that lead, fought with Rudd, fought with everybody out here today, and stays up now in 3rd spot behind Rudd and Earnhardt, 1 and 2.
We've got high tension here at Alan Kowicki's pit. They say they're going to have to pit in order to repair their problem. They do have a fuel problem as such, and they're planning to come in between lap 165, 170, where they hope to be able to fix it. What a disappointment. They are running so well, but they've got a fuel problem today.
Boy, that's just what they didn't need, Dick. As good as that car is running, he needs to be out there in that racing service. I know it's going to be heartbreaking for him.
But that underlines their problem. That underlines their problem, and it continues to be where Allen gets beat. Not on the track, not in his driving, not in the setup, but on pit road. So the leader is Ricky Rudd, and he has just put a lap on the man who sat on the pole, Davey Allison, and he's about to put a lap on the 9th place car, Hut Strickland. It's Ricky Rudd's race to win at the present time as Alan Kowicki lies 3rd on the field and fights his way back in to the Pontiac Excitement 400.
Yes, we're back at the Richmond International Speedway working on lap 161, and NASCAR racing is billed as the closest racing in the world, and here's some evidence of that. These tires came off of Alan Kowicki's Ford, and if you'll look, his Ford is certainly not green. That's the green paint off of the number 33 car of Harry Gant. Very, very close racing, wouldn't you say?
Again, Stabler, I'm not so sure there's not another couple of colors under that green. That was just the last one that went by.
I saw a little yellow in there, a little red. Modern art as created out here by Winston Cup racers.
Stabler, the best I remember, I saw some of Joe Green's black on your helmet a time or two, also when he nailed you to the ground.
Take a look down here. Bill Elliott's number 9 has just rolled back behind the wall. The hood is up. And consider this. We're 163 laps into this race, and on the board showing attrition, nary a number. The Mass number 1 car that brought out that only caution for 2 laps, they're going to get that car back in the race, and now they're working to get Bill Elliott in. So here we are working toward the halfway point. We've started 35 cars, and everybody intends still to finish this thing.
Well, I tell you, they just keep coming back and coming back. And with Bill over there, you know, they've got the hood up. We were guessing we're in either transmission or some kind of oil leak, but it doesn't seem anything wrong with this little orange car coming off this corner right here.
Take a look at the standings here all the way through the field, something we innovated 4 or 5 years ago here on Turner Broadcasting, and give you an idea of where your favorite is running at the present time as you watch Ricky Rudd in car number 5, driving for crew chief Waddell Wilson, a guy whose hobby is growing roses. He may get to smell a few today, the way Ricky is running right now, putting another lap on Bobby Hillen, and the 5 at this moment looks bulletproof. But hold the phone. Wait a minute, because back in 2nd place, Dale Earnhardt, as this leader continues to average a record-breaking 112 miles an hour, is closing ground, Neil, on that leader.
Yeah, he's been closing a little at a time, but that's just what it takes. At a track this size, you're not going to make it leaps and bounds, but he's gnawing away at the lead. We just saw right off the corner, you can see him in the same frame, and he's really cut it down.
It's down to 2 and 9/10 seconds, and we were being told 15 laps ago it was 4 seconds. He's on a hunt.
You know, when early in the broadcast, you know, Rudd seemed to be right from the start. Earnhardt made the speculation that they thought they'd be good later in the race. I don't know how late it is, but both of those cars seem to be good right now with the track just a little bit slick.
Dale Earnhardt's favorite singer in the whole world is a fellow named Delbert McClinton. And their favorite song is Standing on Shaky Ground. And that's where the rest of them are as Earnhardt begins to dominate as he has on so many 48 other occasions in Winston Cup racing. You see him moving under Hut Strickland's number 12 car, running in ninth, tail end of the lead lap. Hut goes down one. Here's the 30 car. Going down two would be Michael Waltrip.
It's some pretty good race cars. That thing's just breezing by there. And Rudd drove by these same cars a while ago and just pulled away. So those two cars really showing a lot of strength.
And Bill Elliott's back on the track after being in the pits for 2 minutes and 43 seconds, and he drops 8 laps, trails 8 laps to the leaders with this latest stay on pit road. I guess that was an additional 8 to the 2 that he'd already lost. Not a good day for Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, the Silver Bullet, Bill Elliott.
Yeah, I'm down here at Bill Elliott's pit. I talked to Chuck Hill, one of the crew members, and he said that it was blowing oil out the breathers. So they have some sort of an internal engine problem. It may not be anything serious. They were trying to tape up and put rags around the breathers and things like that. So he may be okay.
Bill, that thing, people don't let them get too panicky right now. That thing, yourself, they just tried to correct it. It might burn this smoke here that's off on the car now. It might quit that in a minute, but if anything, it looks like that thing is really getting worse every lap. But hopefully they can get it cleared up.
There's your leader, Ricky Rudd. Let's talk about this strategy thing for just a moment. Or let one of the experts on it talk about strategy. Darrell Waltrip, with the new pit stop rules out here, is there anything you can do to get an advantage over another team?
Really, in car preparation, a lot of these guys have learned to race on new tires because that's all we've ever had to do over the last several years. Personally, I learned to race on old, hard, worn tires, not because we couldn't afford them, but back before the Hoosier Goodyear war, that's what we had to race on, was pretty much hard, old tires that were very hard, too hard, matter of fact. So the car slipped and slid a little bit more. The man that could do the best job of setting his car up for those types of conditions was always the guy that won. I feel real good about that. My car at Daytona, it just got better and better and better. A lot of the cars would get worse as they wore the tires down. So it may take some adjustment from the driver and the crew's perspective to understand what it takes to get a car to work on these tires after you run them a while.
Ken, not only he hit on something there too, not that you can't afford them, but that enters into it. This new rule, you don't see the guys using many tires. These tires just went to $1,000 a set. So not pitting as repeatedly as they do, it's cut the cost way back in racing. At $1,000 a set, it's tough to nail them on every time. 4 laps into a caution, if you run 8 laps, you put a new set on. That gets pretty expensive before the day's over.
Here you see Bill Elliott for another time going back behind pit wall with car number 9. Looks like it's going to be an extended stay. Bill Elliott putting the Ford back in, and the work goes on immediately, so the intention seems to be to get him back on the track. Meanwhile, Rudd continues to lead, and Earnhardt in second place. He had closed it down to 2 2/10 seconds. We'll get another interval for you. We're watching the Wood Brothers car. It's running a little loose now and very high. That interval is back to 3 seconds, almost 3.5 between first and second, as Rudd now plays the dominator out here in car 5. There's your interval, back to number 3, Earnhardt in second, and then it's a distance of another 4 seconds back to Alan Kulwicki in third, and then let's see, running fourth is Mark Martin. You're going to find him another 3 seconds back, so there's a lot of separation among those leaders.
Yeah, and Ken, on a track this size, traffic from lap to lap really dictates if you make some good ground or you lose something. All you got to do is follow a car that's a little slower through one corner, and he can really set you back, and these lap intervals are really changing. But it seems like Rudd has kind of stepped the pace back up a little bit. I'm sure just like we were seeing it happen, they called him on the phone in there, and hey, Rudd, he's closing. He just picked the pace up. Try to show show Earnhardt that he can pull away from him. It's kind of demoralizing when you sit there and you just think you're getting a guy, and all of a sudden you see him getting smaller in front of you. Maybe he's trying to do that.
And that's exactly what's been happening. Meanwhile, car number 7, Alan Kulwicki, is on pit road. Here's Dick Bergen as we follow Alan Kulwicki into the pits.
Well, Ken Squires, most of the time the driver and crew chief decide when to pit. On this occasion, Alan Kulwicki was keeping an eye on his fuel pressure gauge. That's what decided when he was going to pit. They got 1 can of gas in it now. He installed the engine. He's got it started again. 1 can is in. They're trying to hold that vent open on the relief area. They've got the 1 can in, second one going in. Left side tire is going to be a 4-tire change. He surely gets down 1 lap. Not a great pit stop. Kowicki with the left front tire on. They're waiting on the left rear, and they're going to hold him. Kowicki's being penalized.
Dick Berger, you hit the nail right on the head. That little bitty vent on the left rear, they were shoving a screwdriver or some kind of object in there. There's a check valve system in that area where when they dump the fuel out, you don't have a lot of spillage on the ground. It does 2 things. That check valve closes, it lets you fill the tank completely full. That check valve was closed, hung up, and he couldn't get it full the time before.
And Dick Berger, when you get a chance, we'd like to know what that penalty was about on the car number 7. We may be getting a report right now. Too many men over the wall. 15-second penalty.
Well, I tell you, that's a costly penalty, and it really at that particular time it didn't necessitate putting another guy there.
Dick Trickle's helmet camera giving you a sense out of the Trop Arctic Pontiac of the beating you take on this 3/4 mile oval as you run 183 of the 400 laps in the Pontiac Excitement 400. He's running 23rd right now. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Just a dozen or so laps to halfway. Ricky Rudd trying to streak toward that right guard halfway challenge bonus. Dale Earnhardt in second. Mark Martin running third in the Ford. Harry Gant, the Bandit, in fourth spot. And Rusty Wallace running in the 5th position. Last chance for you to dial into the 900 number and register for your half of the right guard halfway challenge. 95 cents per call. You must be 18 or over. And if you know who's leading at the halfway point and the right guard folks call you, you can win that new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. But you must register to win. So call in now. There's the 900 number. You've got, 10 laps. What's that, Ken and Neil? About 5 minutes to call in and register.
Not the way they're clicking him off this afternoon. I mean, this is a record run, Mike. Over 112 mile an hour average. The old mark of 95.7, the way they're hauling right now, that's going to disappear. 191 now complete as we watch Ricky Rudd continuing to dominate here at the midpoint of the race. Rick Mast is back on the track, and so is Bill Elliott. And as amazing a statistic as the speed here today and the fact that we've had 16 lead changes is the fact that every single runner is still out here competing at halfway. There's Rusty Wallace in the number 2 car running in 4th place.
Just as you say that, Ken, Elliott came out of the garage area, went back out. There comes the scene of right frame up there. Mark Martin coming down pit road. He's running in 3rd place.
And that puts Wallace up into 3rd.
See what kind of stop it. Now watch this back and tell the chassis stuff's going on. If it's just sticking tires on, you're okay.
Gant's going to go up to a 4th, Neil, and Darrell Waltrip is going to be 5th now. Martin on the tail end of the lead lap. We now have only 6 cars running that lead lap.
There we go, the chassis adjustment. Right on the left rear, the man cranking the ratchet right there. He was taking bite out of that car. The car was a little bit too tight.
194 complete. Will Ricky Rudd be $10,000 richer? I'd like to get down to his pits and see what they think about all of that.
Waddell can buy him some roses instead of grow a few with the 10 grand here.
No cars have fallen out. Only once has that happened in Winston Cup racing, 1959, when Bill Donahoe ran the track in Nashville, Tennessee.
Again, that's just the quality of these cars. Boy, the stuff in these things are getting to where it's bulletproof. And, you know, used to we'd run a 500-mile race. You had to baby it along to make it go 500. We can run some 500-mile sprint races now and just turn them loose.
Everybody's still running at halfway. And how is the number 5 running, Dr. Dick Berger?
Well, let's ask the man who want to know, Waddell Wilson, how is your car running?
Well, you know, right now Rick is happy with it, and we're not making any adjustments on it. And we're going to make a pit stop pretty quick, and he said to leave it alone. So I just hope that the day will keep on going like this.
Well, leave it alone says a whole lot. That says this thing is running well. Waddell Wilson with a 5-star.
Harry Gant running 4th is just pitting, car number 33, his 2nd time in. Now Brett Bodine is also pitting. Getting close here, 2 laps to halfway. Sterling Marlin pitting. Musgrave is on pit road. There you see young Brett Bodine for the Kenny Bernstein team. Larry McReynolds and that crew over, and they're really keeping track of the men over the wall. At the pit meeting this morning, they held up a photograph of the winner of last week with 8 guys over the wall and said, gentlemen, this won't happen again. Speaking of him, number 4 is just coming in. Here's Gant in and out. He did in 24 seconds. Coming around to halfway this time for Ricky Rudd. All holds together.
And we're seeing every car do 4 tires. Used to would do 2 and 2 and 2. But the penalty is so severe now to come in that these guys are going to stick 4 on and get it out of the way on each stop.
Well, we're at halfway. 200 laps are complete. And there's a guy, thanks to right guard, is $10,000 richer.
I didn't get my call in on time.
You didn't get your call in on time.
You're keeping me too busy.
Story of your life, Neil, huh?
That's the way it goes.
Only luck you've had is hard.
Oh, man, it's been great. All of it's been great.
You miss it? Don't you wish you had that? And I think everyone knows one of the great sadnesses of the start of the 91 campaign is that the word came down from the docks that Neil Bonnet couldn't cinch up again.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of mixed emotions. I enjoy sitting up here with you, but I'd leave you in just about 2 seconds. You'll get one of those Wendy's.
And we'd give anything to see you out there.
But I'm going to listen to them. I never have. I'm listening this time.
You never listen to the doctors? Well, good thing to listen to after the hard blow you took that last race. Got beat up pretty good. Let's go down to the pit center. Mike Joy at the STP pit center.
Well, Ricky Rudd wins the $10,000 from right guard, Ken. And, folks, that's the name to know if they call you to drive home a Pontiac Grand Prix SE. I'm glad Ken Stabler wandered by. I wanted to ask you all weekend, a driver quarterbacks his Winston Cup team. He kind of directs because he's the only guy out on the field. He knows his pit crew chief is a coach. But how's his role in the seat with his helmet on different from yours, quarterbacking the football team?
Well, Mike, I don't see it being an awful lot different. I think, you're going to have to understand the feel of the car and pass that on to people. And as a quarterback, you have to understand things like how's the pass protection? Is this guy getting open? Is that guy getting open? And feed that information back to the pit crew. And our pit crew was the coaches on the sideline and then go and make those adjustments. So I think they parallel pretty close.
One big difference here, the coaches can't see the whole playing field. They're on pit road, and you've been along there, you've got a very limited view.
Well, there's no doubt about it. That's why the driver information becomes so important for him to understand how that car's doing, pushing or loose or whatever. Pass that information on, and the driver becomes the quarterback. Very, very important.
Ken Stabler, glad to have you with us. Let's go back upstairs watching Ricky Rudd lead the 400.
Stabler, great quarterback, great anchor at TBS. Do you think we should tell him over at TBS how much he wants to get in one of these things and go?
It just depends how much insurance they have on Mr. Stabler, because he's wanting to jump in one of these things and drive it. I'll tell you what, Ken, only thing I can tell you, if it got down to 2 minutes to go, they better stand back, because he was the toughest man that's ever been there with 2 minutes left in the game.
Well, we have half the distance left to run here this afternoon at the Richmond International Raceway, and Ricky Rudd has yet to make that pit stop. Here's Darrell Waltrip's car number 17 gone. A lap down to Rudd. Rudd stays first, Earnhardt second, Wallace third. Now, these top 3 will all have to pit, and that should give us maybe 10, maybe a dozen cars, depending upon this pace. I'm simply amazed, aghast at the fact we've gone half the distance. All the field is still out there. Here comes Rudd onto pit road, Waltrip coming with him. Rudd and Waltrip both pitting at the same time. Let's go down to Ricky Rudd's pit.
Well, Kenny's coming in very, very slowly to make sure he doesn't overshoot that line. There's a penalty for doing that. There's a little nick on the left front corner of the front bumper, but other than that, the car looks just fine. And are they ever being careful about how many men over the wall? One of the crew members kept his toe over on one side. That was all. Did a little work on the left rear. That's legal. That's okay. You can do it. Rudd behind the wheel now taking a drink. They've got 3 of the 4 tires ready to go. A good stop for Ricky Rudd. 23.5 seconds, 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel. Darrell Waltrip's out right behind him.
Dick Bergman, that was one of the few times you've ever seen a guy on pit road tell you the truth. Waddell Wilson said they said not touch it. They didn't touch it. They gave him some new rubber. They didn't crank on those wedge bolts. They sent him on his way.
Here's Earnhardt, currently in the lead, inheriting it. He comes on to pit road. Let's not forget that Waltrip made a great stop there, too. Phil Parsons is waiting in the Richard Childress pits for Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, the reason Dale Earnhardt stayed out is they wanted the 5 points for leading the race. They wanted to stay out just 1 lap longer than Ricky Rudd so he could get the 5 points. They're going to change 4 tires. Got Kurt Shelmerdine changing the right front. Cecil Gordon stopped the car, getting ready to roll the left front tire. It's full of fuel. I saw the catch can man wave, so soon as they get these left side tires, he'll be back on. This is one of the finest pit crews that's probably ever been in this business, and they do their job week in, week out. There he goes.
So Earnhardt is away. 211 laps are complete, and for the moment, Rusty Wallace has the lead and picks up those 5 bonus points. More shortly.
Coors Light brings you NASCAR records. It was the 30th running of the Charlotte 500, and Bill Elliott's 1984 record of 146.86 miles per hour was about to be broken. Mark Martin looked like a sure taker until his final pit stop. A bad set of tires slowed him dramatically. Ken Schrader took advantage of Martin's misfortune and slipped by to take the lead with 15 laps to go. Schrader beat Harry Gant to the checkers by a margin of 4 seconds to win the fastest Charlotte 500 ever at an average of 149.863 miles per hour. It was Schrader's second Winston Cup career win.
And we'll be taking you to Charlotte on TBS. That's our next telecast. The great Memorial Day event, the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte. Talking about records, we've equaled one here. We've had 19 lead changes thus far in this race. That's happened 3 previous times. Looks like that one's falling by the race side. And 112 mile an hour average. Now here is car number 5, Ricky Rudd in front. As we come to the mid-race Goodyear report, we've had on that report, this was at mid-race. This was at 200 laps. Since then, the things have changed again. We had 16 changes at midpoint among 6 different drivers, and the average speed stayed right up at over 112 miles an hour. Just that one brief caution for a couple of laps. But the interesting story has been that story on attrition, because there's not too much to report there. Lap leaders, Ricky Rudd accumulating 104. Alan Kowicki dominating some of the going. And then Davey Allison battling with Kowicki, picked up a lot of laps early on. Dale Earnhardt has led just enough to pick up 5 points, as has Gant and Waltrip. Now, the interesting thing here is, as you watch Ricky Rudd in the lead, closing up on Hut Strickland to put him down a lap, and doing so, is that Darrell Waltrip 3 laps ago moved around Rudd. You'll recall that when you saw Ricky Rudd pit, there was Darrell Waltrip right in the back of the picture doing the identical same pit stop. Now Waltrip has made up his lap, and he's just blowing away, leading down the backstretch. Remember, he's running the tail end of that lead lap, but ahead by 3 or 4 seconds over the Rudd car after going around him.
Ken, that could be a big factor for that. Could be a pass like for the lead. It's critical to get that lap back. A caution right now. Darrell's right back in the hunt, and he's showing you right now he's capable of pulling away from the 5 car.
Now remember, he's on the tail end of the lead lap. There you see the 17. The story is how fast he is pulling away from the leader, 5. And there you see Ricky Rudd in traffic going into turn number 3.
There's Waltrip, left rear frame right there coming up off the corner. You know, just about 15 or 20 car lengths, but he just passed him, so he's pulling away pretty.
So the leader continues to be Rudd. Second place is Earnhardt. Third for the moment is Schrader. Fourth is Martin. Fifth they're showing is Kowicki. Sixth is Gant, and 7th is Wallace. That's what we're being told at the present time.
And all of those guys have stopped and got tires, so it's pretty well sorted out. Now they got some racing to do.
223 laps are complete. Dick Trickle from the Trop Arctic Pontiac car giving us these pictures. Dick Trickle's down in 23rd position in car number 66, wheeling right on the inside and giving us this picture of Hut Strickland's number 12 as he stays just up on car number 5, Ricky Rudd, down the main straightaway.
Trying to get a lap back here. He's making a pretty strong move on Rudd.
I guess the question is, what's the story on Ricky Rudd? We need to get someone down into his pit area and find out how things are going. Let's go to Dick Bergman.
Well, Ernie Irvan is in the pit right now, and they're working in the area of the alternator of the car, Ken. They're also in the process of trying to get into the back end of the car to change the battery. And you're right, Neil Bonnet, these batteries are really buried here. So here they are in the green flag lap. Daytona 500 champions, all jacked up, changing a battery. Ernie Irvan going down laps as this pit stop transpires.
Dick, they put that battery in there for safety reasons. It's inside of a steel cage where if you were in a high-impact accident, you wouldn't set the fuel cell on fire. So the battery's hidden on purpose, but you pay a severe price when you have to correct it. One reason that battery's got to be so, everybody says, well, why don't you turn the rear end pumps off? These ignition system in these cars pull like 66,000 volts. If that battery's not at full capacity, the motor won't turn these high RPMs. You might as well stop and fix it because the thing, it'll lean the motor down. The ignition system will go bad. It'll burn the pistons out of the car. You've got to fix it, and you got to pay the price.
Closing in on the leader comes Earnhardt. That Rudd car is not as fast as before it pitted. There you see the 5, and there you see Earnhardt closing down 1 3/10 seconds between first and second place. 228 laps are down. Earnhardt motors in another time. Ricky Rudd has had very good finishes here in the past few years. Remember that he won this race back in 1984. I believe he had a 3rd place here last year and 4th the year before that. So he's used to running up in front on this racetrack. But right now he's beginning to once again feel some pressure from car number 3. And definitely closing there is Earnhardt. Now Earnhardt has to face some traffic. And of course that's what he seems to like best.
Yep. Rudd was held up in that traffic for a while. Here's Trickle's car falling up off the corner right behind Rudd. Get some good shots out of his race car.
That's that head cam they're using on his helmet. Some pretty dramatic stuff as you bounce and shudder your way around this 3/4-mile track where TBS's live coverage is coming from today. Whoops.
That's a look in the mirror. You're looking to see who's coming. Just take a quick glance up in that mirror. That's a big wide angle. You can see from bumper to bumper on the rear of your car. He knows there's upcoming traffic. He's paying attention to it.
And one of the things he has to start paying attention to is the fact that Earnhardt is definitely on the move and closing on Ricky Rudd. Earnhardt to the bottom of the racetrack in the black number 3. Going for Hut Strickland here. Earnhardt closing as we look out the back of Dick Trickle's car. Earnhardt under Jimmy Means. Flying down the back straightaway.
Again, we were talking about bouncing around. You can see the surface. This is one of the smoothest tracks on the surface. There's some bumpy areas on any of it, but this is a good smooth surface on this track.
Boy, that wall comes up at you so hard and so strong on the bottom of turn 4. They have those 3 dirt barrels down there, but if you really tag into that thing, you're still going to feel it.
As long as you're turning left, it's not too bad. When you make those right-handers, it comes in a big hurry.
Watch again.
There's one of the keys why you're seeing Earnhardt being able to move up some right in the bottom of the racetrack. They've got the car working good at the bottom. Rudd's worked good out there all day long. Some of the people are starting to gain on him a little bit now.
233 laps down. Let's review for you those cars in that lead lap. Rudd first, Earnhardt second, Martin third, Kulwicki fourth, Wallace is fifth, Gant is in sixth, Waltrip is in seventh, and then a lap down, it is Brett Bodine in eighth, with Marlin in ninth, Kyle Petty in 10th, Shepard is 11th, Davey Allison 12th, then in 13th is Brett Bodine and Richard Petty in 14th. They're all being shown as a lap down to those 7 cars in the lead lap.
That was a good move on Trickle's part. He moved the outside, gave the inside lane to the guy. They give the pullover flag. He acknowledged it, moved over the outside, let him in. They'll let him race for the lead.
Down to Ricky Rudd's pit.
Waddell Wilson, you got that black car closing in on you. Can you do anything with him?
Well, Ricky just called in and said that this set of tires was not quite as good as the last set. But when the tires are new, the car's a little bit tight. Then about 30 laps, they come around pretty good. I'm just hoping that's what'll happen this time. But Dale, you know, he's awful tough anywhere we go.
How hard will Ricky race him when he closes?
Well, we still have to go to 310 laps before we make another stop. So he's wanting to run as conservative as he can on the tires so they'll be in good shape.
They're going to try to save the tires. They want to win this thing, not just stay ahead of Earnhardt.
Chevrolet's running 1 and 2. Ford's running 3 and 4. And Pontiac in 5th. We've got a car in the wall up in turn number 2. Looks like Jimmy Spencer has found the outside wall in the Travis Carter car. Here he comes crawling down off that corner. Floundering, the car number 98 up against the wall, right front towed out bad, was running 19th when he socked the wall.
Well, this is going to be the first time we'll see if everybody's afraid to touch pit road. Well, there's been that confusion. We'll just have to see if these guys can decide what to do now.
So, strategy, procedure, caution flag is out. Doyle Ford puts it down. The car in trouble is on pit road. Jimmy Spencer out of Berwick, Pennsylvania.
Sure looks empty to me.
Well,
usually when we see a caution, it looks like mass confusion, and I'm not so sure it's not going to stay that way.
Well, the pace car is coming around now to bring anyone in that wants to come in. Let's see what happens. There you see Ramo Stott driving the pace car that is on pit road. Elmo Langley driving the pace car that stays out with the lead cars. And the first man in is Dick Trickle. Also in is Jimmy Means. Not key players to win this race.
2 cars on pit road.
Oh, here comes some more. Guys out back are going to take the opportunity. Among them, Bill Elliott. Harry Gant comes in. Gant, one of the serious players. He's on the tail end of that lead lap. And also in his car, number 20. That's Bobby Hillin. Here's Phil Parsons.
Yeah, I really thought Alan Kowicki would take advantage of this caution flag. You know, he had to come in on about lap 170. So he's out of sync with the rest of the field. Now, I don't understand why he did not come in that time. Because this way he can come in, top off with fuel, and then he can go on to lap 310, 300, enough so he can go the rest of the way on one more stop. But maybe he doesn't feel like his tires will go that far. If he has to go to lap 300, that's 130 laps on the tires. Maybe he doesn't feel that they'll go that far.
Well, Phil, the pace car is coming in again, and let's see if car number 7 does come on pit road. Remember, he's 4th overall. Rudd, Earnhardt, Martin, Kowicki, Wallace, Gant, Waltrip. The car's in that lead lap. Marlin comes in. Kyle Petty comes in.
Jeff Bodine coming in.
Well, he's not going to top the tank. You think he'll wait, take a green, change some tires, and get some fuel at that time? In that lead lap, there you see Sterling Marlin. Here you see Kyle Petty. And now, until we had this caution, at 2:38, the average speed for the race was 111.9 miles per hour, which is scampering right along out here. They're well over the mark of 95.7, which is the overall record for this new 3/4 mile oval that Paul Sawyer has spent millions to develop, and the crowd just loves. What a great track to watch them racing.
I'll tell you, some of the best race game fans in the country that come there. You know, we have a lot of cool weather, snow last year, cold yesterday. These people just keep coming to the races.
Pace car is in again, and Kowicki stays out. More to come from Richmond with 240 laps complete shortly. Getting ready to go racing in one lap, and let's go down to Mike Joy with a Goodyear Motor Week racing update.
Ken, the World of Outlaws began their 1991 season at Yuma, Arizona this weekend, and defending champion Steve Kinser put on quite a show. Kinser on the outside of row 1 blasted past pole sitter Stevie Smith at the start and led all 30 laps on his way to the win. No one could get close as Kinser gave everyone a lesson in sprint car driving. Steve takes home $5,000 for the victory. Stevie Smith finishes second. Dave Blaney was third. Last night, Kinser won again at Yuma. It's going to be a long season for anyone trying to beat Steve Kinser on the World of Outlaw circuits this year. And that's our Goodyear Racing update.
Thank you, Mike. 244 laps now complete. Coming down to take green. Rudd in first, Earnhardt second, Martin third, Kowicki fourth, Wallace fifth, Gant sixth, Waltrip back in the lead lap in seventh as the skirmish begins once again for first place. Seeing that lap car on the inside, Hut Strickland moved right back up there trying to take some space back and not able to do so. As Earnhardt warms to the occasion. Whoa, Kyle Petty out of control, slaps the inside wall. No caution this time by car number 42, trying to get fired up just down at the bottom of turn number 3. Leaders coming around. Rudd in first, Earnhardt in second. Kyle rolling back out. Yellow is on. Caution is on for Kyle Petty as he slips the lap down. Field rolling by him. Third caution of the day. That caution at 2:47.
Not a lot of damage on the right side of the car. We don't know what the left side looks like yet.
Dick Berggren has this report.
Well, Kyle Petty's just rolling in now. I don't see a lot of damage on the left side. He's obviously got the whole thing. Now we've got a yellow flag here, and he's preparing to change tires. He's going to change 4 of them, by the way. They're going at it so far, at least. That's not a penalty as long as he comes back in and changes them again under the green flag. But he's going to have to take 4 when he does that. This car does not appear to be seriously damaged, at least on the left where I can see it.
That's the change in the rules, Neil, that they were talking about. Ford have to come back in and change all 4. Let's take a look and replay what happened to Kyle Petty.
See if we can pick him up. Here he is right in the... Already got the car a little sideways. Looks like he got a tap in the rear. Car's wiggling out of control, headed for the inside. really making a run at this wall. I'm surprised there's no more damage than it is. Just barely, well, hit the left front. That could possibly get the toe in on the car, but from the angle he was coming, he's lucky he didn't hit any harder than that.
I think we should get this one going in a hurry. Track is clear, and they're just about ready to turn them loose again. As you see, Kyle Petty, who won his first Winston Cup race right here at Richmond, Virginia, getting that machine hopefully back on the track and going. Jimmy Spencer's car has gone back behind the wall, so Spencer looks like he's going to be the first, and now Rick Mast has officially retired. 2 cars down, coming down for green. This at lap 249. They'll complete 249 as they take the colors. Breaking to the inside, Brett Bodine's number 26 scoots to the bottom. He wants to get a lap back. Takes Earnhardt's car just a little time to wind up. Then it rolls.
You can see how much heat he put on Rudd here. He's been able to close the gap earlier. Rudd said his car was pushy right now. Had a pushing tendency. If it does, he'll slide out in the middle of the corner, and that could possibly open the door.
You often see after one caution a second caution on a day as cool as we have here in Richmond, Virginia, because those tires just don't heat up, and after you've been in a groove for a long time, you think they're going to come back, and sometimes they don't. Battle for the lead. Earnhardt to the inside.
Rudd on the outside. If he has a push, it should bother him right here more than anything. Cars won't want to stay low right there. That would be, I would think, would give him more trouble. He still makes a good run up off the corner on the outside.
This is the battle for the lead. First place at stake. Lap 252 this time by.
This looks like the first 15 laps of the race when they were running side by side, the different leaders.
The man behind them in third is the Ford of Mark Martin, then Rusty Wallace. Back and forth, they struggle for first place. First it's Earnhardt, then it's Ricky Rudd.
There's some of that Waddell Wilson horsepower working on the outside of the racetrack.
Looks like the lead changes continue. That is the 20th lead change right there, and that is a new record. The record has been tied at 19 on 3 occasions. And with this battle continuing up in front, have a new record for lead changes here in the Pontiac Excitement 400. Now notice that Hut Strickland and Brett Bodine, both running a lap down, are hanging right in there.
They'd love to get these guys fixing it up, let them use the cars up a little bit, and be able to get a lap back, get back in contention. A little bump from the rear, trying to shove everybody on down the way here. Earnhardt cleared him now. I'll say that. Rudd drives up on the outside. Ricky's car is working exceptional on the outside of the racetrack.
Dale Earnhardt gets a little bit of breathing room, about half a car length. Dale, what's it going to take to win this race?
Well, with this new pit rule, it's just going to wait and see what happens. It's a strategy that you have to play as the race goes, and it's not something that you really plan out. You just try to get the car working the best you can and go consistent as you can. That's all we're going to do.
All he's doing is leading right now at lap 256. 400 the distance. A record for lead changes, maybe a record for the race before this one's over, pending the caution flag. And it's staying in the rack. Hut Strickland's number 12 down to the bottom of the track. He's running 14th, 2 laps down. In 9th spot right now is the car running a lap down to those leaders is Morgan Shepherd.
Rusty Wallace has moved himself right up there in contention behind Ricky Rudd. He's running third and put some heat on Rudd.
Jimmy Makar, now the crew chief on that number 2 car.
The black car coming up right there.
Moving up through. There you see him on the outside, wheeling through traffic. Closing in on Ricky Rudd. The black and yellow, number 2, around Bill Elliott. Wallace to within 4 car lengths. Ever closer. Looks like they have that one really hitched together. That car looks like it's ready to do some running out here today.
Everybody felt like when Roger Penske got involved, Rusty and the guys put the team together, Penske really gets the resources to make one of these cars run. And I feel like they'll be a big contender for the whole 9 deal, the whole 9 yards for the season, the championship and winning races.
Well, Penske sure doesn't run for anything but to win. And we're beginning to see Rusty Wallace, the 1989 Winston Cup champion, unlimber this car number 2, this Pontiac, and close ground on the 2 Chevrolets running in first and second. He's run down the Ford. There's the leader, Earnhardt, followed by Rudd. Earnhardt just seems to wear them down as the afternoon goes on. Got trouble up in turn number 4. Joe Ruttman has spun. He collects Derek Cope. Hamilton is in the wall on the outside. Bobby Hamilton's car thrashed fore and aft. The Ruttman car spun, looked like it was going to get away. Derek Cope had no place to go and scrapes off the right side of the Bob Whitcomb car. So there's the 4th caution, and a bad break for the 3rd place finisher Joe Ruttman at number 75 at Daytona just past Sunday.
Went all day without a lot of cautions, and here within a few laps we've got a couple of things happening.
Hamilton, number 68, won a Grand National race here a couple of seasons back. Moving up with a brand new team, trying to make a good showing today. In trouble and dragging back this one.
That could be terminal, Ken. That fuel cell area, just simply because the fuel cell is located in an area where he has to fuel it. It'd be hard to fix that.
Well, how about another look at what happened up here at turn number 4 in lap 261.
Here there, we're looking over going in 3, coming off 4 turn here. When they pick it up, Bobby Hamilton's already on the outside. That's Joe Ruttman spinning around. He backs into Derek Cope. That pulled the rear end housing almost out from under Cope's car. He pulled away, but he's not going to be able to keep running either.
Derek Cope saying, my kingdom for another 1.5 foot of daylight, and he just flat ran out of it. And that pretty much shatters his hopes of having a good run here. He's back on pit road. So we're under caution once again. 263 are complete. Earnhardt is up on the board in first place. Ricky Rudd is now settling into second. But the man on the move is Rusty Wallace in the new Roger Penske team. He's going to have a lot to say about the outcome of this one.
Before their Wild West was gone, 2 old friends were going to make one last stand.
Let's meet them head on. My son almost exactly.
Ride the High Country. 7 Eastern on TBS tonight.
Pontiac Grand Am. The best-selling compact in America can now be leased for only $199 a month. The 1991 Grand Am LE. Driving excitement made easy. With an automatic transmission, air conditioning, stereo cassette, and no down payment. This may be the best time to experience the thrill of a 91 Grand Am for yourself. But don't wait too long. This is a limited offer, and at only $199 a month, they'll be moving fast.
Hey, I know plumbing. I'm the one that connected these pipes. I know every inch of this sink, and I know when I'm stuck.
Well, Jerry, they don't make that setup anymore.
What?
But you can do it even better with the parts I've got here. And they'll last you a lot longer, too.
Yeah, I know every inch of this sink. But now, I know it a little better.
You can do it with True Value Hardware stores.
A 6-year-old in her first 2-wheeler. My favorite kind of customer. But no sooner do they take off her training wheels than someone takes off with her bike. So her father calls the police, and then Citibank Visa. Well, the bike never turns up, but it turns out Citibank has a program that replaces it free. I see what Citibank does for their customers. That's why I became one.
Not just Visa, Citibank Visa.
Wednesday night on TBS. All-Star MVP Charles Barkley and the Sixers. Dominique Wilkins and the Hawks. An Eastern Conference showdown. Live at 7:35 Eastern on TBS Wednesday night.
Great crowd here at Richmond, Virginia for our live coverage of the Pontiac Excitement 400. And here in Richmond this weekend, Daytona 500 winner Ernie Irvan was honored by the U.S. Air Force Reserve. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Ron Hall.
Thank you, Ken. I'm standing here with Ernie Irvan, who last week became the Joe Namath of the NASCAR racing world with his stunning upset at Daytona 500. I know that Ernie is very proud of that win, and as part of the Morgan McClure racing team, I don't know of any team that deserves the Air Force Reserve Commander's Performance Award anymore. From Bristol, Tennessee, on behalf of the Air Force Reserve, I proudly present the Air Force Reserve Commander's Performance Award to Ernie Irvin.
With what's going on in the Gulf, this award means a lot more now than say it would have last year, you know. But we really appreciate this, and I'm accepting this on behalf of our whole race team.
What a great team that is, too. Here comes Ruttman behind the wall. That's a bad break for car number 75 after that great run a week ago. Now let's take a look at what happened to Derek Cope and talk about bad luck. Crashed in the Busch Clash, crashed in the Daytona 500, and look what happens to Derek here today. First, you see Hamilton spinning. He collects the front end of Joe Ruttman's car. Ruttman spins, and here comes that red car of Derek Cope. He sees a little bit of daylight, and he thinks he's going to make it. Then the tail end comes out on 75, and Derek Cope, again, just the wheel of fortune was against him.
Just make those judgment calls, split-second decisions. Sometimes you win, sometimes you pay the price.
Mike Joy.
Ken, military technology has done a lot for racing. Nomex fabric and the safety fuel cell to name two. But here in the STP Pit Center, we found a chance for racing to give something back. This is a spherical rod end bearing or Heim joint. The problem is the bearing surface could get contaminated by dirt. This is a Seals It from the East Hartford, Connecticut company, the same name, that seals up that joint. They use a lot of these on helicopters, and therein lies the story. Racing technology, that's the only place this part is advertised. The military found out about it. They want to test it for use in the Persian Gulf. So racing may be able to give something back to the military.
Let's hope so. 269 laps complete. I know so many folks from Carolina, certainly in the Persian Gulf, have such interest in motorsports. That'd be a nice thing to have happen. As we're back under green, take a look at the front three.
Look who's in front and look who's chasing. Got a gang of them.
Wallace closing in that third spot. And a little bump and grind out of turn number 2. As Earnhardt stays first, Rudd second, and Rusty Wallace becomes a serious player. Dick Berggren, a comment here?
Yeah, Ken, I want to let you know that the racing groove has gotten very, very narrow. Here's the problem. The tires are throwing off some rubber. Now, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them, but as they wear, these chunks of rubber are coming off, and they're narrowing up the groove because they're outside the racing surface. And here's what happens when you pick them up on a tire like this, and this is off Derek Cope's car. That's what you're running on instead of the whole smooth surface. That makes it real slippery, awful hard to handle the car. Cope right now, his car is behind the wall, and they're taking the rear end apart.
The 1989 winner of this event is not having much trouble with that slipping and sliding. Look at Rusty Wallace right down there, making that car number 2 work. Pulling up on Ricky Rudd. Rudd having to take the higher line. Also in your picture is Harry Gant at number 33. He's in that lead lap. Bigger correction on that. He's running back just a bit. That is that Brett Bodine car. That is a lap down. Harry Gant is about 5 car lengths back in 4th position, followed by Mark Martin in 5th, Darrell Waltrip in 6th, and Kowicki has fallen to the tail end of the lead lap. For second place, Rusty Wallace. A year ago, he found himself 6th in this event. Now he sees that hole open just a bit more. But Rudd runs well out there, Neil. He likes to hang it out there. One car scraping the outside wall out of turn 2. It looks like Dale Jarrett in trouble, but continuing in car number 21. The Wood Brothers car just brushing the outside barrier in turn number 2, and he's pinned on the outside and can't get in. He'll take another lap as he slows down and follows the flock into turn number 1. He falls all the way to the rear.
I tell you what, this group right here, we're looking at Waltrip. You made the call earlier, Ken. If he gets that lap back, he could be a contender. He's past Mark Martin. He's worked his way up there. He's in 5th place now, and he's the guy that's really on the move. That pass to get back in the lead lap could be almost a pass for a chance to win this race.
In the lead lap, and you can see a little damage on the left side of his car, just at the rear quarter panel on car number 17 as he puts a lap on Hut Strickland in the 12. Waltrip closing in again.
Say, you know, Darrell Waltrip is probably one of the smartest drivers out here. A race like this really comes to him. A race where you have to run your tires for a long time. We haven't really talked about Darrell much all day other than the fact he got his lap back. But, you know, Daytona last week, you never talked about Darrell Waltrip until, boom, if it goes green the rest of the way, he wins the race.
Looked like Waltrip had that race won last week, and then fate stepped in and collected him on that Dale Earnhardt spin. Here's Waltrip on the bottom of the racetrack, and he's away easily, outdistancing Harry Gant into turn number 1 and finding himself in 4th position. Gant back to 5th, and it's now Waltrip looking for that trio up in front of Earnhardt, Rudd, and Wallace. Earnhardt has about a 5-car length advantage over Rudd. 3 cars then back to Rusty Wallace trailing Ricky Rudd. And then a pretty big margin, probably 2 seconds to car number 17. Front 3 down into turn number 3. And then looks like the fastest car on the track is indeed Darrell Waltrip. Brand new team for Darrell in car number 70. He's the owner and he's the driver. And he says at Daytona, says here today, pretty hard sometimes to leave the owner at home, put the driver in the race car.
Darrell stated earlier that old tires, he thought he could go. That on the left rear looks pretty old to me. All the writing's gone. He's ran on them a long time, and he's doing just what he said. He's working his way to the front.
And he is closing. He is definitely gaining ground on that front 3. Here's Bill Elliott's car number 9. Hard day for Bill Elliott, running many laps down if you're just joining us. He was in for 8 laps at one time. Rear end problem on that car. Bobby Hamilton has returned to the race after that fracas. Not getting back in is Joe Ruttman. Kyle Petty has stopped after his problems. Car number 42. But he has now come back on the track. Kyle is back out, but Ruttman looks like that could be a big problem for him.
Yeah, it looked like Kyle's car knocked the toe in out. It took quite a while to get it reset.
And they got him back on the track. The front 3 have about, and we'll check that time between the 3rd place car and 4th and give you a real indication of how much time Darrell Waltrip has to make up. As the 5th place car, Harry Gant, falls back from Darrell Waltrip. The interval is 2.9 that Darrell Waltrip has to make up, and there are 283 laps complete. 283 complete. And for the moment, the race is stabilizing, and Ruttman, tail end, bobtail car number 75 is going to come back on the track.
The factories go to all these trouble to make fastbacks, and we can make knockbacks out of them in a hurry, chop them all short.
Here's Joe Ruttman's car coming out. Made a compact out of that one.
The thing they're going to have to worry about is the fuel cell hanging real low with the frame structure holding it up. Maybe it won't drag the track. The Pontiac Truff Arctic car giving us these pictures. Car number 66. As we're down towards 300 laps complete, 3/4 of the distance, riding with Dick Trickle back in 20th spot in car number 66, down across the start-finish line and into turn number 1. So as Dick Trickle continues to run a very long and hard afternoon for him, not up to the pace, it's Earnhardt, Rudd, Wallace, Waltrip's race to win here at Richmond.
Promotional fees and consideration have been paid by First Brands Corporation, maker of STP racing products, and by
True Value Hardware Stores, your place for service and selection, where you'll find their exclusive True Test Easy Care interior paint in 3 spatter-resistant finishes.
Back in Richmond, Virginia, 292 laps are now complete. Pit stops again, the order of the day under green. Just saw Jeff Bodine come in. Here's your leader, Dale Earnhardt, number 3, stays out in front, seeking win number 49. But there's a new 2nd place driver after a 13-year hiatus. Roger Penske's team is back with Rusty Wallace in control, and here he is up to 2nd place. He's just motored around Ricky Rudd. Penske changed from the number 16 to 2 back in '76. Did not win a single race with that number 2. See what happens now. Last person to win a race with number 2. How about Tim Richmond back in Riverside, early 80s.
And I'll tell you what, that team of Rusty Wallace, it's a new team with Roger Penske, but it's a well-established team. most of them from Raymond Beagle's organization that won the championship. So they're really looking forward to having a good year.
Here you see Earnhardt diving, ducking in between cars. Now there's Morgan Shepherd as the field stabilizes from, let's look a little further back. That's the battle for 9th spot. And there you see Sterling Marlin, who we haven't seen much of. Didn't see too much of him last week at Daytona. But remember that Sterling Marlin drove the 22 to 2nd place in his first ride in a Ford for Junior Johnson. And right beside him, the 15 car, which is Morgan Shepherd. That battle for 9th is a good one all the way around the racetrack. Here you see the 42 down on the inside making his move. And that battle for 9th has Sterling pulling right up in there. Hut Strickland is part of that crowd. They have him as another lap down. Here's the number 6 car coming in. Mark Martin on pit road. Running the tail into that lead lap. Green flag stop. Right side rubber, Neil.
And I think there's some strategy here. These guys were looking at 310 laps with some of the crew chiefs. Here's a bike going in that car. But you can go a lot further. They got 100 laps left to go. The question is, can you put the tires on now and make up a lot of time in this last 100 laps? Or do you stretch them as far as you can and just have 80 to go when you come back out? Their strategy, put them on. Let's see how much time we can make up.
On our clock, that was a little over 22 seconds for Mark Martin and the Roush team. As car number 6 gets back into it, Earnhardt's number 3 leading. Waiting for his decision to come on pit road. And he'll need a perfect stop. One of the things that is happening with this new pit procedure is the emphasis that it is putting on those right side workers on pit road. That front tire man, that rear tire man, that jack man has to be letter perfect. It may, as Humpy Wheeler has pointed out, jack up the price of those people considerably.
Yeah, and one thing critical about their requiring, here's Alan Kowicki in the pits right now. Critical stop for him. He's still in the lead lap. Ran good all day long. He needs a good stop right now.
Bill Parsons is there.
Yeah, Alan Kowicki's coming in for 4 tires. This is why he didn't stop on that caution flag a little while ago, because they knew they could go. They thought about lap 290. They went all the way to lap 300, so this shouldn't be his last pit stop. Unless he has any problems, more than likely it will be his last pit stop. The guy's putting 4 tires on now. Alan Kowicki probably doesn't have quite the pit crew that the rest of the teams do, but they do the best they can. Looks like a pretty decent stop.
27.
Kowicki back out, and Phil, I think if you're on the lead lap, you have to pit now. If you wait to try to just run those last 80 laps, you'll have more cars to have to come up through. And the cars that have just pitted and are now on fresh tires, and they're going to be running away from you. So the longer you stay out there, the more you're putting yourself behind. It'll be interesting to see what Earnhardt and the other leaders do for strategy now that some cars on the lead lap have made their final stop.
Mike Joy, you're exactly right. We just saw Mark Martin pit early, put 4 tires on. He's coming up right behind Earnhardt right now on those fresh tires, and he's eating him alive because Earnhardt's on old tires. This thing of getting those tires, getting on back up there in the lead lap, he's really making a strong move right now. There's Mark Martin. If he can get around Earnhardt, he's back in the same lap, and he's already got the tires changed and ready to go the distance.
This happening at lap 303. Martin, they say, lost 2 laps, so this is 1 back. This is 1 lap back, Neil.
And it leaves Dale having to stop, so he'll go back the same amount of time, so she'll put him back an equal distance on the racetrack.
So easy to go 2 laps down here at Richmond. As matters stand, Earnhardt is first as you take a look at the complete standings through the field. Wallace second, Rudd third, Waltrip fourth, Gant fifth. 5 cars now showing in that lead lap.
4 tire stop. The guys just put 1 can of fuel in. 100 laps go. They don't need to load that thing down any more weight than they have to.
As you see the field meandering around, there's that 75 car running all battered, and the 3 putting a lap on him, Dale Earnhardt. Darrell Waltrip had some interesting comments, Neil, about the tires here and the tire strategy. Do you think worn tires are responsible for crashes like we had in the Daytona 500 is the question, Darrell Waltrip?
I think I'm correct when I say this. The media and the fans complain bitterly about restrictor plates at Daytona and Talladega. I have yet to this, and how dangerous it made racing, and how we all run together, and how we all wreck because we can't pass. I have yet read or heard or seen anywhere where some media person, some fan said that the reason things were the way they were at Daytona is because of restrictor plates. Now it's because of the tires. Who knows what'll be next? But the tires don't have anything to do with it. When you bunch all them cars together at Daytona and Talladega, 10 laps to go in the biggest race of the year, somebody's going to pay the price, and it doesn't matter if you got 4 brand new tires or 4 worn out ones.
What a statement from Darrell Waltrip after what happened to him at the end of that race.
I can understand Darrell's side. It's a good thing I quit driving. I always liked all the gas I could get and all the horsepower and all the tires. I always thought it was paying us to go fast.
Earnhardt's going quick right now. Looks like an Earnhardt fan out there. Rusty Wallace biding his time now at lap 309, getting set for this run for the finish. Those leaders will make one more stop.
I think you'll see us kind of burn some stuff up here. When you get that last set of tires on, you know what you got to do then. Right now, Earnhardt doesn't know where he's going to be in relationship to the 6 car when he comes out, all these guys. Vice versa, Rudd's got to make a big decision here shortly. It's going to be a big scramble when it's the last stop.
So the issue now is pit stops. Earnhardt has been pulling away. He leads by 2 6/10 seconds as we get down toward the end of this one, Neil.
You know, Waddell Wilson told us earlier, we'll be looking somewhere around lap 310 for Rudd to come in for his last stop. 310 just went on the board. Rudd's still running, so they might be going to stretch his stuff a little further than they expected.
Well, if people are looking to pick up a caution out here, they've been few and far between.
Ken, right now on this screen, we're seeing what happens when you stay on the old tires. Everybody that's even been on pit road and got any help at all is just driving away from the guy leading the race. It looks like almost like they're going to have to come in pretty quick and put some rubber on his tires, on his cars. They're staying out long. It's costing them a lot of time right now.
4 cautions, total of 16 laps. Not very much here today. Had 20 lead changes thus far. I think that would change to 21 with Earnhardt back up there. Indeed it would. 21 lead changes to date among 7 drivers. Earnhardt running these tires out, waiting, but now Rudd is going to pit. Ricky Rudd coming out of pit road. 3rd place competitor eases the Hendrick Chevrolet down to his proper spot. Let's go there.
He brings it in nice and slowly, nice and gently. Ricky Rudd going to take a glass of water. Everybody's doing 4 tires, Ken Squire, up and down pit road. I remind you that the 3, Earnhardt has not pitted amongst the leaders, and Rusty Wallace up pit road. Well, their strategy is they're going to wait until as long as they possibly can. They're going to try to violate what Mike Joy said, and they're going to try with fresh tires for a run at the very tail end. Run a good stop, 22.7 seconds on Ricky Rudd.
Away and running, car number 5.
I guess their theory there, Ken, is to have the best rubber on the end, but boy, it's tough to sit and watch everybody pulling away from you. And right now, we're still in the infancy of this new rule. Everybody's still playing in the games and trying to figure what to do next. And you're going to look like a hero if you make the right call. If not, when this race is over, everybody's going to say, why didn't I do this or do that?
The emphasis was all on this odd and even after the cautions. Nobody's used it. You can forget about it. Nobody's attempted it out here today.
I don't think you'll see these guys paying any attention to use that rule. They're going to have to set up a game plan, a strategy of what lap you're going to pit on. Forget the caution flags. Run your race the way you want to run it. Not let the thing come to you.
Earnhardt stays first. Wallace stays second. Sooner or later, and it probably will be sooner, they will enter pit road, and that well could tell us the outcome of this race.
Welcome back to Richmond International Speedway and the Pontiac Excitement 400. We've just gone through the pit stop situation. Everybody getting those final tires. We've got our leaders in for their tires. We've got Rusty Wallace showing the way. Dale Earnhardt making a real run at it. And Darrell Waltrip seems to be in some sort of trouble. To find out what, let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, I really wish I knew what, but these crew members aren't saying a word. They're just keeping an eye on Darrell Waltrip. They are ready to bring him in, but he has not come into the pit area yet. Meanwhile, up pit road, Rusty Wallace is taken on 4 spots. They're clearing out the pit in front of the area where Darrell Waltrip is expected. He's due here momentarily, and hopefully we can answer your questions that time.
And the 3 car made a very quick stop and right back out here, Neil Bonnet.
Yeah, they're famous for that part of it. There's Darrell on the screen right now. I don't know what's wrong. It looks like he's lost a cylinder or something. The car didn't want to run up off the corner, even though slower cars are getting around him. Here's Earnhardt back in the lead.
For the moment, Waltrip pitting, and we'll go right down to his pit and see what the circumstances are on car number 17.
Darrell Waltrip is in right now. They're planning to take 2 tires and 2 tires only. He stalled the car when he first brought it into the pit area. As it sits here and idles, the engine sounds just fine. But other than that, we'll see. Waltrip with only 2. Everybody else took 4. He's gone.
12 seconds, and he is back underway. And as he pulled down pit road, you saw him moving around the Ken Schrader car back in the pits another time. Earnhardt then is first. After these pit stops, Rudd is second. We have Martin in third, Wallace in fourth, and those are the cars we have in the lead lap with 326 laps complete. Now let's get a Goodyear Motor Week racing update from Mike Joy.
Ken, in yesterday's Grand National race here at Richmond, Harry Gant picked up his first win of the 1991 season. Gant, Davey Allison, and Dale Earnhardt were all strong contenders in the 200-lapper, while the going was rough for those racing in the middle of the pack. The blue car, Tom Peck, hit for the wall as Darrell Waltrip spun and a melee ensued, reminiscent of last week's pileup at Daytona. Earnhardt, who won the Goodies 300 a week ago, couldn't hold off Gant late in the race as Harry dove low for the lead. Gant was no match for Earnhardt after that and drove away to a big lead, winning his first race of the season comfortably. While Harry was beginning the victory celebration, Earnhardt had his hands full with a strong, young, and impressive Kenny Wallace. Dale edges the kid at the line for second place honors, while Gant picked up $12,000 for the win as his car overheated in the final laps of that event. Dale Jarrett and Michael Waltrip were 4th and 5th respectively. Kenny Wallace, the only Grand National regular to make it into the top 5 yesterday here at Richmond. That's our Goodyear racing update.
.328 laps are now complete. Earnhardt is sailing 3 7/10 seconds ahead of Ricky Rudd, and his tires are 9 laps fresher than Rudd's right now. We're at lap 328. Neil Bonnet, you're going to give me a heart attack.
Well, Ken,
we were watching that replay from yesterday's race. Gosh, I thought you.
Well, I wanted to show you where we're having a big wreck. I'm just, I got hit in the head. I'm just one day behind. So.
The 17 car, which is identical to the car that Waltrip ran to the Grand National race a day ago. Something is still amiss on that car. It isn't running well. It's falling back. Now, latest report. As Earnhardt first, Rudd second, Martin third, Waltrip showing fourth, Gant sixth, and Koecki seventh. So we still have those 7 cars in the lead lap. For more on what's going on with Darrell Waltrip 17, there seems to be a problem there. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, Jeff Hammond, crew chief on the 17. What is going on with your car? You still seem to be sliding back.
Well, what's wrong is, Dick, we got hit a little earlier, one of the caution flags. It seemed like it may have knocked the rear, maybe a little bit out of kilter, but it kind of messed up our left side tires. So we elected, because we were losing track position, to put on just 2 and hopefully get a caution and maybe get a chance to do something else in the car. I hate to lose a handle on this late in the race, but the car's been running good all day. Maybe we'll get a break here. We've got a couple ones early on, and the car's been running real well. Just have to wait and see how everything comes out. Dale and Rusty and one other car, has got us beat right now because of tires, but you never know. We still got a long ways to go.
That's the strategy on car 17.
Well, that's the story on 17, which looks better than it did a little earlier. He finally is back in the groove and running again after a little problem on the back end of car number 17 set him down and brought him in for some additional work. Now, the situation on the racetrack has car number 3, Earnhardt, just riding away better than 3 seconds over Ricky Rudd in second, Mark Martin in third. So it's Chevy, Ford, and Pontiac in the front 4. Then Darrell Waltrip Chevy, followed by Harry Gant. And that interval between first and second, Neil Bonnet, just grows. It's now 4 4/10 seconds.
Yeah, and I was wondering also, Waddell Wilson said they had a bad set of tires on. I thought maybe when they put this set on Ricky's car, he'd be able to run right there with Dale, but it looks like Dale's able to pull away at least a little bit.
So if anybody really wants a shot right now with 333 complete of the 400 in this Pontiac Excitement 400 lap race at Richmond, Virginia, a caution might be helpful to them at this point. That's really what they're kind of hoping, and Dale Earnhardt is wishing doesn't. And there's the crash. It's up at 4. It's Mickey Gibbs spinning, and that's going to bring out the caution.
Were you calling this shot here ahead of time? I tell you hate to see anybody have trouble.
And particularly Mickey Gibbs, brand new team. And they're in trouble up here in the corner. There you see the 24 car wrapped in the wall. He took a pretty good shot. Field is under caution. This at lap 334.
Well, I just about bet you they won't anybody come on pit road. These guys are through with the service. All they're going to do is try to get them the best restart position they can for this restart and run to the end.
Yeah, you've got the fuel you want. You might as well let the tank run out on that. You can't change tires, so those 7 cars in the lead lap are pretty much committed to staying there and fight this one out. See if anybody can make a run on Dale Earnhardt.
You know, if we had bi-supply tires, you might see people jump in and change the stagger, a little air pressure, a little this, that, and the other. But you got the tires on, and those days of coming over to get you 4 new ones and let's make a run are over. We're going to have to go with what we got.
This is what happened to Mickey Gibbs in car number 24.
There's Mickey coming up right by the edge of the wall here. Looks like they got tangled up back in the back a little bit. 2 cars got together. Look like maybe him and Dale Jarrett got hung up a little bit coming off the corner, and Mickey went to the outside wall.
335 laps are complete. Can anyone challenge Dale Earnhardt? We're going to find out very shortly here in the Pontiac Excitement 400.
Promotional fees and consideration have been paid by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, maker of Goodyear Eagles, the choice of every team and every driver at every Winston Cup race, and by...
Our pilots fly the world's most advanced aircraft. We keep the planes in top flight condition.
Dale Earnhardt leads Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace as we're back under green here at Richmond in the closing laps of the 400. Sandra Combast is going to be blasting around Luce, Florida in her new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. She knew Ricky Rudd was leading at the halfway point in the right guard challenge. They're already accepting entries for the next race's challenge, so you can call in. Each call costs 95 cents and register your name and phone number. Let's go back topside to Ken Squire and Neil Bonnet.
Congratulations to the lady. Now, who's picked Earnhardt to win this race? Or who, for that matter, has picked Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, Darrell Waltrip? Among those leaders, Mark Martin, Harry Gant, Alan Kowicki, all in that lead lap as we get down to 343 of 400 complete.
And here's Sterling Marlin trying to get the lap back, and the car seems exceptionally strong right now. He's making some strong moves on Dale to get by and get a lap back right now.
And he is only 1 lap back in 8th position. Sterling Marlin sticks that number 22, second place finisher, in his first time out with Junior Johnson a week ago. And look who's coming along. Ricky Rudd is there, and Wallace. 3, 5, and 2. Those are the numbers today that might take you home in the Quinella that we're running at Richmond. The 3 of Earnhardt, the 5 of Rudd, the 2 of Wallace, running for the lead as time runs out.
This right here might be a perfect opportunity for the 5 car and the 2 car to take advantage of the 22 car getting back in the same lap with them.
As they go around Joey Ruttman, what an impressive move by Sterling Marlin, the Tennessee driver. Cut his teeth over there at Nashville. Takes a lap back, puts himself in the lead lap, and that gives us 8 cars running in that first lap. That's lap 347 being worked right now.
You know, a lot of people talked about with the new pit rules, if this thing wasn't going to be a close race, the field was going to be spread out because of all the pitting procedures. Well, it looks to me like it's been a pretty good race. We had Earnhardt drive away a little bit to a 4 or 5 second lead just before this last caution flag, but now I'm sure you're watching. We got 3 cars that you can throw a blanket over. It's been a pretty good race, guys.
There's Marlin in trouble and getting gobbled up by the front 3. Little hit and run out there in turn numbers 1 and 2. And look at Rusty Wallace down on the inside underneath Ricky Rudd for second place.
A little bit of shuffle there. Guys are trying to take advantage of it.
Close encounters. That's the way Wallace likes it. And look how he's running as he laps Bobby Hamilton to the back straightaway. Whoa, here comes Rudd right back after him.
Ken Rudd showed us that all day long, the ability to run outside out there, and that's a big asset at this racetrack.
What a great run by Ricky Rudd. Win, lose, or draw we've seen here this afternoon. Wallace in the 2, Rudd in the 5. If you're just joining us, this is the scramble for second position. We have 7 cars in the lead lap as Sterling Marlin just slipped back behind the trio out in front. Joey Knuckles.
Well, we've seen a lot of this all day long, Kent. Guys racing for position side by side around the racetrack. It's good to have a facility that can do that.
60 feet wide all the way around. There's plenty of room to race here at Richmond. This great new facility that's been constructed. And hey, the word is that the next event here will be a Saturday night event at Richmond. Always have been on Sunday. Over $150,000 worth of lights will be installed when we come here in September. Saturday night. Old-time racing, Bonnet, just like when you started.
Man, that's where it came from. Running them on Friday and Saturday and fixing them on the middle of the week and go out and tear them up on the weekend. So we're getting ready to go racing at nighttime up here.
Earnhardt stays first, Rudd second, Wallace third, Waltrip in fourth, Mark Martin in fifth, and Harry Gant in sixth. Kowicki, who started outside of the front row, in seventh. Davey Allison's car is back there in 11th position. Take a look at the battle for fifth that's going on right now. Here is Harry Gant. And actually at sixth, Martin in fifth, Gant in sixth, and Kowicki in seventh. Those three all together. Dick Trickle, windshield, all covered oil. All covered with oil as we get down to the end of it. Kyle Petty motoring around him. That Phillips Trot Arctic camera giving us these pictures in that Pontiac. And here's Alan Kowicki, who's put on such a game show here today. Running in seventh position. Alan closing right in again on Harry Gant in the number 33 for sixth spot. And there's Gant working hard on car number 6 and making the spot. Gant goes up into fifth. Martin falls to sixth, staying seventh. This car 7th. 355 laps are down.
And this is kind of like the way Gant does it all the time. He'll just be there. And everybody says, well, there's that little green 33. And then when it gets time for the checkered flag, he really starts to hustle in that race car. And he's moving up in the pack right now.
Rusty Wallace trying to gun down Ricky Rudd for second place. Rusty, are you concerned about tire wear on this relatively new asphalt?
I think it's had enough time to season right now. The tires have. I don't think the pavement will tear up, and I don't think the tires are going to tear up. Although I think the tires will wear real bad. I think they'll get right on down to the cords. But I thought they were going to get down to cords at Daytona, and it looks like you could almost run 3/4 of the Daytona 500 on the same set of tires. So it's just a deal where I'm just going to have to try and find out. I know one thing, the car's going to have to be really close when the race starts.
Cars were really close at the start, huh, Neil?
Yeah, they were close like this. We've got Phil Parsons in the pit for something there.
Yeah, you know, not only talking about what Rusty Wallace said about the tires wearing, I've looked at a lot of tires that have come off these cars, and they've run anywhere from 90 to 110 or 15 laps. I haven't seen any of the tires wear to the cords like people were talking about. I saw some yesterday from off a Winston Cup car for practice. I haven't seen any of that. Not only that, from my vantage point, I haven't seen a flat tire today. It could have been on the other side of pit road, but as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen a flat tire today, Neil, and that's pretty unusual.
You're right. You know, Goodyear's done a good job with this particular tire for this track.
The struggle continues. Here it is, the 2-car down to the bottom. The Pontiac, the Chevrolet up high. Wallace versus Rudd. And they both have their game face on. They're running these cars right to the ground as they know the time is running out. Next time by, 30 laps to go to decide it all. $500,000 Pontiac Excitement 400 here at Richmond, building towards the finish. And Earnhardt building towards another victory, his 49th.
Yeah, and I tell you, you think year after year, you say, well, you come in and somebody will be on top of it. That black car has stayed on top of it. Childress' crew's really done a great job. And I know the people like to see somebody up there mix it up with him.
One day ago, his younger brother, Kenny Wallace, ran 30 laps. That was yesterday in the Grand National, side by side with Earnhardt. They put on a tremendous race around this place. Here they continue. Rusty battling Ricky Rudd right now and working on the bottom. Has the advantage, but out of 2, Rudd knocks him down another time.
We've talked about that all day long. Waddell Wilson's motor, when Rudd gets that thing lined up straight, it jumps down that straightaway.
23 lead changes among 7 drivers. That's a record. 19 the previous record. As this battle continues to unfold with Dale Earnhardt again in command.
Coors Light brings you NASCAR Records. It was the inaugural race at the new improved Richmond International Raceway. And for its debut, Davey Allison in the Robert Yates-owned Ford Thunderbird sat in the hot seat all weekend. His qualifying run of 122.850 miles per hour gave him the pole and the track's first record. On race day, he led the most laps, including the last 53. Davey held off Dale Earnhardt by 3.3 seconds and set a track record with an average of 95.770 miles per hour, a record that still holds today.
Getting down to the finish here at Richmond International Raceway with Dale Earnhardt out in front. Running in second, Ricky Rudd. Maintaining third is Rusty Wallace. Harry Gant holds fourth. And Alan Kowicki, independent, sponsorless car, maintains the fifth position. Running in sixth is Darrell Waltrip. He's falling back. And Mark Martin ends the lead lap in seventh position. Morgan Shepherd is eighth. Brett Bodine ninth, Jeff Bodine 10th. Davey Allison, who started on the pole, is in 11th. And now 2 laps down is Sterling Marlin. Riding with Alan Kowicki, who's had just an incredible run here today. He's led much of this race if you're just joining us. He battled in the early going, wheel to wheel with Allison. He's taken everybody on. He had one pit stop that was costly. He fights his way right back into this, but he has really put on a show. This is the man that's leading the race and continuing to build a big advantage. Give you an idea of how much over the number 5 of Ricky Rudd in second. And there you see Rusty Wallace trying to win after a 13-year absence from stock car racing for Roger Penske's team.
Here comes Jeff Bodine coming down on the green into the pits.
Just joining us up here in the booth is Ken Stabler alongside as we watch Jeff Bodine pitting Junior Johnson's car. Your reaction to what you're getting out of this race today?
Well, I think a lot of people were concerned, Ken, with the new pit procedures and things like that the field would be spread out so much that you wouldn't have any close type racing, and that hasn't been the case. It's been a real shootout between Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace, and it's very, very close and competitive, and I think that's what the NASCAR fan wants. While I'm up there, I really like to ask Neil Bonnet a question. As a football player, as a quarterback, in the last 2 minutes of a game, at the end of the game, you're always trying to position yourself on part of the field to get in there to score late in the game. From a race car driver's standpoint, Neil, what time, within the last 5 laps, 2 laps, 10 laps, do you start thinking about, okay, here's where I want to be on the racetrack?
I'll tell you what, Ken, right now, with the pit procedures we have, it kind of strings things out. If we had a caution, it'd bunch them up, and it'd be like going to the sideline talking to the coach. Okay, coach, you call the play. I'll pull off the action. But right now, we're reverting back just like you used to have to. You called your own plays. These guys are calling their own. They don't have any help right now.
Well, there you see him, Dale Earnhardt out in front. He's been sick much of the week. Brought the flu down here to Richmond. On Friday, he was feeling miserable. I think he felt a little better yesterday. He sure must be feeling better right now.
Yeah, but he's making everybody else feel miserable now.
Dale, you're looking forward to running 400 laps here at Richmond this afternoon?
Richmond, it's always here after Daytona. We run good here. You know, last year we started last after Rick in practice and come back and run second. So it's one of our favorite racetracks, so we do pretty good here.
He sure does. He ran second here last year, third the year before, won it in 87, won it in 86, and in 85, and was third here in 86. He really likes this place a lot.
Well, it's kind of hard to find a bad one when you got a race car that handles the way Dale's does and performs. The way Childress and those guys fix that car up, you tend to like all the racetracks.
Of course, the guy that won it in 88 sitting right alongside, Neil Bonnet.
Yeah, boy, that's a lot of fun.
As I watch those black and silver colors go around this racetrack, I can't help but be reminded of another set of black and silver, perhaps the inspiration for this paint scheme. But I know down in that Richard Childress pit, Kenny Stabler, there's a lot of Oakland Raider fans.
Well, when I first visited down there and visited with that team, they really came to me and accepted me pretty well because I think they all are real hardcore, die-hard Raider fans, you know, and their team wears those colors, and I think they wear them in the tradition that the Raiders did. They're a very tough, intimidating bunch. Their driver fits that silver and black color as well as we did as players, and like I say, they wear it very well, Mike.
Richard Childress will appreciate that a whole heap because he is a big Raider fan. We're here with 380 laps complete, 20 to go, and Earnhardt is out in front.
Into the closing laps at Richmond, Dale Earnhardt trying to pick up his Winston Cup title defense where he left off last year, leaving Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, and Alan Kulwicki. Earnhardt didn't fare well at Daytona. 3 times in 3 years he's led in the last 10 laps. Can't put together a victory there, but he said, we'll do what we did last season. We'll just come back and we'll win the Winston Cup championship. Ernie Irvan goes home from Daytona with the point lead. Sterling Marlin is second. Joe Ruttman is well back today. Rick Mast is out of the race, but there's Earnhardt, 5th in the Winston Cup point parade, looking for a victory to vault him further up in the point standing. Let's go back upstairs.
Leading the Richmond parade right now and drawing away is Earnhardt. Rudd stays second. Waltrip third. Gant is fourth. Kulwicki fifth. Martin sixth. Waltrip holding on in 7th spot. All the lead lap. Morgan Shepherd 1 down in 8th. Bodine is 9th. Sterling Marlin in 10th. 2 laps down, followed by pole sitter Davey Allison 11th and Ken Schrader in 12th. Here you see the number 3 car doing what it's done, and to get an idea of the relationship to the second place man, Ricky Rudd, as they get to 12 laps remaining this afternoon. And it's a long haul, Neil Bonnet, from that first man back to the second, number 5. And he is drawing away from the 3rd place driver, Rusty Wallace.
It's going to be tough to make up that distance in the amount of time left.
You see that distance now back to the 3rd position, and it's a draw back to the Penske car. You know, Penske's had all those wins, 7 Indies, 8 national championships, 64 IndyCar wins, but when they've come down here, they have 5. 1 by Donahue, 4 by Bobby Allison. It was a tough road to hoe the first time they came down, and with Don Miller now kind of managing the team, Wallace driving, they may do some better, but it's a struggle in Winston Cup. You can't dominate here very hard. I mean, they'd like to say that Earnhardt does that with his 9 wins, but he didn't win the championship last year until the last race of the season when he beat out that very steady performer from Arkansas, Mark Martin. Here's Harry Gantz, number 33. That's your 4th place car as you look further back in the field. Right behind him is Terry Labonte's number 94. I thought Terry was going to have a good day today back with Billy Hagan, but that has not been at all for car number 94. It's running back in 16th position, 4 laps down. Got a car spinning. We've got one in the wall up in turn 2. And that is the end of the day for Brett Bodine, who had that bad crash a week ago. Although he may get it going again. He grazed the wall. We'll see in a moment what happened to car number 26. Brett Bodine.
Had a little flash fire in the tailpipes. That thing hit the wall, sloshed over a lot of fuel inside the intake, had a little fire. 7 laps remain to be run in the race. The first race of the season ended under caution, but I don't think anyone could have touched Ernie Irvan after Darrell Waltrip went away in that race. Wonder if they're going to get this one back under green to decide. That'd be 2 in a row that finish in the hands of the flagman. Now there's Hut Strickland's car. He must have got a piece of that. Doyle Ford has the flag out down below. That number 12 car, we can get a look at what happened. He was running in 13th. We already see him in the wall, but before we got there, right in the first part of that frame, there was a big set of skid marks on the very edge of the apron. He either lost a tire, something happened that got him headed in that direction. He went directly in the wall.
And the car
in the bottom.
And the car directly behind him, Neil, was Strickland. So Strickland must have caught part of that car.
He's fixing to ask him about it himself. There he goes. It's good to see him walk away like that. That's a pretty good jolt into that wall.
Not nearly the jolt that he took a week ago. I tell you what, when you get into the wall at 190, you scrape off a little speed, and then you've got all that time to see the other wall coming at you. But he's in great shape. Brett Bodine's lost about 25 pounds from a season back. He's worked out all winter, and I think it's going to help him tremendously in 1991. Unfortunate time for Brett Bodine in car number 26. There's flag out on the field. 394 now complete. They have a safety crew there in a hurry, and there is the Bobby Allison car number 12. Kenny Stabler, I saw you talking with Bobby. He seemed as thrilled to see you as you to see him.
Oh, always good to see him. He's always worn that number 12 number on cars that he's raced, and I wore that same number for a while. And Bobby being from Alabama, and you almost feel like you're a part of the Alabama gang when you watch them race and you pull for he and Davey and Neil Bonnet and the guys that are the Alabama gang.
Hey, listen, you know, Bear Bryant and all of that. If you had it all to do over, how about joining the Alabama Bonnet, Red Farmer, and all that gang?
Oh, what a thrill that would have been. You know, sometimes I look and I wish that I had gone after race cars with the same enthusiasm that I went after football. I really have a fond love for this sport. It's tremendous. The people that do it, I admire and respect an awful lot.
The number 12 car of Hut Strickland out of Alabama. The Allison car rolls slowly down pit road, and here come the remains of car number 26. Brett Bodine's car on the hook coming in, and they're now 395 complete. You know what? We may get a green flag to finish this one off.
I think they will, and it's going to be a drag race. And if I was Ricky Rudd, I couldn't think of a better drag race engine than one of Waddell Wilson.
And remember what we've seen earlier today. Every time there was a restart that featured Earnhardt up in front, it took him the first and second turn to get up there while the number 5 car lit up and flew.
And a while ago, we were looking at some of those tires with the buildup on it. It happens worse than ever right now. We've got tires that are picking up trash off the racetrack. They're giving one to go. They're going to have to clean those tires off. You go down that first turn, it will not stick. Some guy slides out too far, he could be in trouble.
And the final postscript to Dale Earnhardt's Daytona misfortune. Davey Allison handed him a dash plaque somebody gave him this week for his car. It said, Earnhardt's worst nightmare. And Dale said, Davey, says, I haven't been dreaming about you. And Davey, everyone to prod the needle, said, well, what then? He said, been dreaming all week about seagulls and about spinning out.
Yeah, those seagulls found out you can't play chicken with a 3,700-pound car, 3,500-pound car. Here we are, lights off on the pace car, and down to it. Showing 396 complete. That means 397 when they come to the stripe. 3 to go when they come by. Lined up. Earnhardt, Rudd, Wallace, Gant, 1, 2, and there you see Rudd inching right up there. He doesn't want to let Earnhardt out of his trigger sight. But Earnhardt gets a little bit of a jump as they come to the line.
Let's see about this area you were talking about, Ken. We're getting right where you were talking about down in here where he's had trouble getting up to speed.
Didn't have it that time. Absolutely flawless. He is so good on restarts, but 2 or 3 times that car seemed to bog down earlier today. Not the case. Coming by. 2-lap indicator on the field. Earnhardt back in front. If Ricky Rudd has anything, now is the hour. Closing. Rudd moves in. 2 to go. Cuts at the half-car length. This is live on TBS this afternoon. Finish of the Pontiac Excitement 400. This time by 1 to go, and Ricky Rudd is there knocking on the door. To the stripe. White flag is out. Rudd goes to the inside. Makes his move. Ricky Rudd with that Waddell Wilson power. Here comes Earnhardt back on the outside. Ricky Rudd hangs her low. Wallace looking on from about 4 car lengths back straight away. Earnhardt has the advantage into 3. Stays high. Here comes Rudd. One more try. Pulls up on the inside. Down they come to the line. It will be Earnhardt's 49th Winston Cup win by less than a car length over Ricky Rudd.
It's a good clean racing there, Ken. You know, Earnhardt gave the inside lane. Rudd took it. They didn't even touch on the last lap coming off the corners.
Great finish here at Richmond. And Earnhardt is the Earnhardt of old. He may have lost Daytona, but he's won his 3rd Pontiac Excitement 400.
Over with the shouting and the celebrating and one of the most exciting finishes ever seen at Richmond. Dale Earnhardt holds off Ricky Rudd. Harry Gant gets 3rd from Rusty Wallace, and unsponsored Alan Kulwicki comes home with a brave, fine 5th place finish. Teresa Earnhardt watched those last 3 laps from here in the STP Pit Center, and Ken and Neil, I don't think she took a breath those whole last 3 laps. Let's go to Victory Lane where Phil Parsons is with a jubilant Dale Earnhardt.
I'm here with Dale Earnhardt. Dale, you didn't want to see that last caution flag, did you?
No, I was riding along pretty safe there, but, you know, Ricky raced me real clean there at the end. He got under me, and I gave him room, and, you know, he could have laid on me, but he raced hard, and each race tried to beat me fair and square, and, you know, that was a good race there at the last lap.
Dale, you've been sick a little bit with the flu this week. Does this make you feel a little bit better?
I guarantee you. Second yesterday and win today with the Jim Goodwrench Chevrolet. You know, Western Steer and Matt came on board this year, and we've just been having a great time so far.
Well, Dale, you're 1 spot better than last year. You finished 5th in the Daytona 500 last year, and this year you finished 2nd here last year. Now you've won this one. You're 1 spot better, and it was a heck of a year last year.
Well, it was. You know, we started at the back of the pack last year and halfway back this time, so we had a better shot at it. But, you know, the guys did a good job on the pit stops. It was a strategy race. Everybody had to run their strategy on pit stops and tires, and you know, it made it interesting, I reckon. And you know, Ricky ran good all day long, and you know, he gave me a battle there at the end. It was a good race.
Thank you, Dale.
So it's Dale Earnhardt for the third time. He did it in 85, he did it in 87, and today he did it at a record pace. Breaks the old mark of 95 miles an hour. 135 cars at the outset. 31 actually finished the distance in the Pontiac Excitement 400. With Ken Stabler and Neil Bonnet, I'm Ken Squire, and we really saw ourselves a race out here today, Neil.
Well, I tell you, I didn't know how the tire thing would work out, but it worked out for a good finish at the end, and that last lap was a doozy.
How about it, Stabler? What'd you think of your first time around this Winston Cup racing?
Oh, it's a terrific event, and you look at Dale Earnhardt, he always seems to be right there to the end, and you look at that team, that pit crew, that entire situation over there with Richard Childress, and it always seems that Dale Earnhardt is right there, and I don't know if there's a better guy to have when the race is on the line. He does it over and over.
That's that black and silver working. There were 25 lead changes today. That is a record, and there were nearly 26. The man who could have created that is standing by with Dr. Dick Berger.
Well, Ricky Rudd, you made an awful good run on him, especially in that last lap.
Well, it really did, Dick. You know, this Tide Exxon EDS Chevrolet run awful good. It's just come up a little bit short at the end of the race. It ran really good the first half of the race. I sat back and watched Alan Kowicki and Harry Gant first 30, 40 laps beat on each other, and I just sat back there, and when it came time after the pit stops, our guys got us some real good fast stops, and that got us out front. And didn't really have to look back too much until about, I guess, lap 250, 300. Here come Earnhardt, and he gave us a heck of a run, and we just come up a little short at the very end.
What are you thinking of that last lap when you got right underneath him going into the first turn?
To knock or not to knock, you know, but I figured it's still early in the season. That's kind of a bad guy to start picking on this early in the year. So I raced him clean. He raced me clean. And that's probably the biggest decision I had to make right there.
How about the new pit rules? How did that affect what you did? Did you like them today, your second chance at it?
Well, I think everything went like clockwork. You know, we sat down before the race. Waddell had already figured it up and knew what we could do and knew how far we can go on gas and just stuck to a game plan and didn't really, I guess we didn't let the new rules beat us. You know, we didn't beat ourselves with the new rules. We just acted as if the race was going to be a green flag race from start to finish. And when it came time for our pit schedule, whether it was a caution or not, we pitted. And it worked out good for us today.
Where was Earnhardt's great strength on the racetrack? What did he have you wish you had?
Well, his car could really get a bite up off the corner, especially on newer tires. He could really accelerate up off the corner. I had the acceleration, but I couldn't use it. I'd spin the tires. He had a little bit more forward bite. After we ran a long time, near about the time for a pit stop, our cars would level out on the watch. And I was telling Waddell, you know, if them guys would throw out an anchor, we might be able to catch them a little bit. But sure enough, we got a caution and got everything we wanted and just didn't quite pull it off. Maybe one more lap, we might have had it.
Real good finish. Ricky Rudd with a solid second place here this afternoon at Richmond.
Well, that was the line, to knock or not to knock, and he elected that since it was only the second race of 29 that he'd wait for that another time.
Sometimes you better knock. There might not be the second chance.
Certainly gave it a heck of a run, and let's look again at that incredible last lap here at Richmond. Here's the number 5, Ricky Rudd, making that stab. Diving down to the inside. Earnhardt giving him room. Plenty of distance there.
Yeah, right there is the place where you knock. And Ricky decided to give him the clean run up off the corner. Let him get that run right on him straight up the straightaway.
Also looks like where he gets that bite that Ricky Rudd's talking about. You see him pull out about a car length on him right out of the corner. That's what Ricky Rudd was talking about.
And with that finish, Earnhardt is 22 points up on Ricky Rudd in the Winston Cup standings. I'll tell you one thing that we've seen happen here today is that these guys out-thunk all this pit strategy and made it a very good race. Everything that NASCAR wanted out of these new pit regulations worked. It made pit road safe, and all those teams went back and did their homework, and when they came out here today, they really did come with a plan. And remarkably, it made for a heck of a race.
I think at Daytona Beach, we heard the guy that won the race, the crew chief, say he didn't know where they were at all day long, when they were going to pit. You go to the Super Bowl of our sport, and you don't even know what you're playing. So it's tough. You come in here, set your game plan, go with it, and you got a lot more to work with. I think these guys will come up with the right procedures on this racing, and I guess we'll overcome the pit rules.
It's always hard when the Super Bowl is the very first event of the year. Let's go down to Mike Joy.
Well, Ken, we had a lot of hard chargers here today, Earnhardt and Rudd, not the least of which Ricky Rudd takes home the True Value Hard Charger Award. He was second in the lineup in this race last year for that $1,500. Dale Earnhardt, not surprisingly, second. Alan Kulwicki, third, gets a cash bonus from True Value. So does Harry Gant and Rusty Wallace. They'll pay out $5,000 total today, and these points tally up toward a year.